And my mom said, "You like it that much? Take it." And I would go back to my room, and with my little GE record player that would fold up into a suitcase with a vinyl handle that destroys any record that you subject it to. I would destroy these records. So it would be like white static noise, and way underneath would be Isaac Hayes' Hot Buttered Soul, my favorite record in 5th grade. And when I told Isaac Hayes that, he was in disbelief. I said, "5th grade, man, you and me." Like, "Man, that's all right." But anyway, and so I did not see my mother all the time because she worked for the government. She worked for health, education, and welfare under Johnson, under Joseph Califano. So she was downtown all the time trying to make Johnny Reed gooder in America with public educational systems. So she's not an abusive person, but she had very little time for a kid. She would come home, it's the New York Times, it's a gin and tonic, it's the radio, and a can of spaghettis, don't burn the house down. And so I was left to Chef Boyardee food products, and my Beatles records, and the radio. And so I started adopting these voices as my parents, brothers and sisters, and kind elders who stewarded me through very early life. And especially the female voices I'd hear on the radio that were very comforting to me. I liked the sound of Janis Joplin's voice. She had a rasp in her voice that sounded to me like she'd been through something, and she would understand the trials and tribulations and fears of a young, skittish, nervous boy like me who did not get along well with others at all. Crying at the birthday party, hyperventilating at the Smithsonian, that was me. See the dialogue? I stopped hyperventilating about that about 4 years ago. And so Gladys Knight was one of my surrogate mothers, and Dionne Warwick was another one of my surrogate mothers. And a few years ago, I got to meet Dionne Warwick, and I met her through her son Damon. Damon's godmother is Gladys Knight. And I said, "Your godmother's Gladys Knight? You're like the coolest guy on earth." He goes, "You want to meet her? We'll go." I'm like, "Shut up!" Because I'll drive you to Las Vegas myself where she lives, because I just want to say thank you. And so I met his mother, the great Dionne Warwick, who's just beautiful. And I couldn't help myself. I'm a kind of a nervous person. I said, "You raised me! You're one of my moms! You and Miriam McCabe and Gladys Knight!" And she was very comforting. She's like this tall, beautiful woman. She put her arms around me and said, "It's gonna be okay, baby." And I don't know if she really hurt me. She just saw this like gray-haired guy tripping out. She went, there now. And everything got better. But at an early age, I realized that music was going to be a thing for me, in that if you get depressed, if no one's your friend, at least you have Led Zeppelin's second album, which in high school became my Friday album. The chains of high school incarceration are off. I'm in the school bus going back to the Washington, D.C. area. Zeppelin 2 is going to be queued up on the same crappy record player I had since Martin Luther King was breathing. I still had it with the same stylus that would just murder any record you put on. One play, done. And I would play Led Zeppelin, and I would play all these other records, and they were my bestest pals. Because like I said, I did not get along well with others. So I spent all of high school with no direction whatsoever except out. And last year, I was given the Ray Bradbury Award for Creativity at Woodbury University in Burbank, California. Thanks. It's a university this big, and why they wanted to give anything having to do with creativity to me is anyone's guess. I have no idea whatsoever. And so I took the award very gratefully, and I spoke in front of faculty, the university president, and a few other assembled people, older alumni and the like, and I talked about creativity and what little I knew of it. And the president of the university came up to me after. He's like, "I don't really know who you are, Henry, but you're a wonderful speaker. Thank you so much. We're so happy to be able to give you this award. Would you speak at next year's commencement address? Would you be the speaker?" Which requires me to write a speech. So I was like, no, sure, yes, of course. I would never say no to that. So I wrote this speech. And I'm really trying to write a thing that a young person should hear as they eagerly go out into one of the most turbulent times in American history, with a very unstable economic system and a future of foreign policy. Hell, who knows? I love operating in a post-political mindset, because I think we're done with politics now. You voted for someone for president, maybe he lost, maybe he won. You're dissatisfied either way, aren't you? You won maybe both times, you're kind of pissed. You look at Congress and you voted for some of them, one of them, two of them, and you went, "You frustrate me. All of you people suck. You're not transparent, you're not speedy, you're not efficient, you waste money, and I voted for you and you piss me off." And so the idea of "we" is kind of strange. And what can you tell a young person about to go out and scratch out a living in 2015 America? It better be good. It better be arousing. You can do it, because I think young people can do it. I think they can do damn near anything. I'm not young anymore. I'll be 55 really soon. And every single day I get up and the history of my life comes reporting back to me. I get up and he's going, why'd you do that? You weren't good at skateboarding, not good on a bicycle, you fell over a lot when you did rock and roll, ow, 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 ow. And every time I move my hands, you don't know how to hit anyone, do you? You hit the side of guys' heads like the side of a frickin' barn, and that's why your hands have arthritis. That's why you can't bend this finger, and that's why this one doesn't go to that one, because you broke that knuckle so many times, because you don't know how to fight, you're a hyper weirdo. And so I'm very well aware of my age is what I'm trying to say. So I tried to write this pep talk to a fantastic young person. And then I wrote this beautiful thing, I liked it. Everyone's kind of happy with their own fumes. And so I was reading it back to myself over and over again. The university wrote me, a PS, we only need you to do 7 minutes. And that kind of bespeaks of kind of the culture we live in. It is graduation day. We just need 7 minutes and a selfie and you're out. That's fine. In fact, if you just want to text over the speech, we'll just put it through the PA. We'll have a pro come in and read it. I mean, I was like, really? Because I had this whole thing laid out. I mean, it's your graduation day. It won't come twice. Well, not in that context, it's unless you get a different degree, but this is it. And so I abbreviated, rehearsed it between 7 and 9 minutes. I figured they'd give me 120 seconds extra. So I go out onto the stage with my cap and gown, and I look out at this amazing group of young people, and they're just so fantastic, and it disarms you of any cynicism that you might have, because they're good looking, and they're young, and they're all excited, and their families behind them. There's a sea of people, and it's like the brother-in-law, the nephew, everyone's there, and everyone's pumped up, and a lot of these young people that decorated their gowns and their caps with hey, we're gonna do it, like little inside, like, hey, remember that thing in 2013, like that's a long time ago. Because, this is their lives. And I respect it, and I love it. And so I stood in front of them, and I see all the stuff on the cap. People had built, the skyline of New York on their graduation cap. Just really awesome expressions of creativity and just energy. And so I did my thing. And as some of you who have become somewhat acquainted with my work, I apologize for the last 35 years. I can be quite stentorian and quite over-serious, not about myself, but about everything that I do. And so I read this thing, and I found my voice rising with every single sentence. Hundreds of years from now, you're like, people are going to be talking about you. Because you are the ones who are going to turn around the entire planet with peace, with science, with innovation, with goodwill for other people. That's you, not me. I'm old and in the way. It's you. And today, the future beckons you with open arms. This is it. And everyone's like, they get up, like, all right. And so I did this thing. I looked at the staff, the faculty. They're like, should we mace him? Anyway, as I looked out, I reflected upon the fact that all of these young people have a plan. Architect, sound person, producer, whatever. And I realized that at that age, I had nothing. I never wanted to be an astronaut. I thought they were cool. I never wanted to be a fireman. I thought they were cool. I think it's great. I just never wanted to be anything but away from my parents and away from people who yelled at me and threw balls at my head. And I just wanted to be on my own in some weird existentialist art world where I could just go to the record store and write stupid things and have no one laugh at me or beat me up. And that, I don't know how many of you that describes, but that described me. And so, boom, I leave home because I leave high school and I'm out. I did one meaningless semester of education at American University. My heart was not in it, so I knew I was not a college person. So I went willfully into the minimum wage working world to become the subject of many Bruce Springsteen and Bob Seger songs. And that, the working man grinding it out, he's probably going to knock up 9 women in the next 4 years and screw his life up. And end up in jail or the military, and he's working at the mill and the dynamo and I'm just saying, I was looking at a life of working on my feet, and pretty soon I'm working a series of jobs where my feet swell up. I'm working with other employees who hate their job, they are racist. They would say really incredible things about people of different ethnicities. You're like, whoa! I'm really in the adult world. That guy's a moron, and I work with him every day. And he wants me to go to the bar with him on Saturday night so we can, quote, cry into our beers, which I don't drink, and listen to Hank Williams. I'm like, never. I like Hank Williams, but I don't want to sit there with a racist crying into beer and hang out with him at $3.25 an hour. And so basically, I had no direction, but man was I mad. I was mad at everything. Not you, I love you unconditionally. But I was just mad, like a lot of young people. You're just like, I'm mad. Like, what are you mad at? Ah! All of it. And so the only thing that came to my aid was punk rock. It was my soundtrack. Joe Strummer spoke for me. Johnny Rotten spoke for me. Joey Ramone spoke for me. These bands were kind of like my people. I'm like, damn, man, I wish you were all the president right now. Because everything you said should have been the national anthem. It's all good to me. And like a lot of people my age have said, punk rock saved my life. I'm one of them. Ian MacKaye from Fugazi and Minor Threat, my best friend since he was 11 and I was 12 to this day, two ancient men. We used to go see arena rock together, and that was kind of fun. We see Led Zeppelin from a mile away, Aerosmith from 2 miles away, and it was kind of cool. You're with older strangers who smoke bad weed, and you'd walk out with a deafening sound of a 747 taking off in your head and reeking of $4 a pound marijuana. And you'd get back in some mom's station wagon with a fake wooden paneling. This is the 1870s. And you go back into the city feeling, well, I saw something. I didn't take it personally. They said, hello, Washington, D.C. Like, he doesn't know where he is. And so it was not all that full of life. And then within a year, I'm being sweated on by Stevie Ramone. Lux Interior is falling off stage on my head. A 6-foot-something, kind of oddly cold, bone, white-skinned man who's always slightly perspiring. He's the largest salamander in the world undulating on your head. And you always get his pudenda near your feet. Like, testicles! It's you know, but he's like doing something like, but it's kind of cool though, because it's Lux Interior's testicles. It's like, you know, royalty is on my face. Anyway, at one point I heard a band that changed my life called Black Flag, and finally a lyric, a look, and a leanness and a berserkness was all in one band. I went, that's the band, and the singer is really good. But if I sang those songs, I'd probably exterminate most of the Western world in one verse, because it should be about 10 times madder than that guy. And so I met him, and I was kind of upset by how cool they were. Like, aren't you guys mad? They're like, we're thinking about it. You know, we're seeing things. And there's Chuck Dukowski, the bass player, who's like the seer of doom. He always had this small notebook, and he'd write down really pithy, really awful things. He'd go, hey, come here. And he'd open up the book. If we gave everybody guns and knives, we'd find out who the real Lord of the Flies is really soon. Maybe all the pigs would die. Maybe all the streets would become rivers of blood. Maybe there'd be mountains of dead bodies. Cool, huh? I'm like, okay, now I have to walk around Madison, Wisconsin for the rest of the afternoon, waiting to play some beer barn for everyone pays $6 to come in and abuse us. With that on my mind, this Darwinian Serengeti plains of extinction, annihilation, and Huxleyan dark future. Anyway, I met these guys, and I met them a couple of times, and one time they said, hey, why don't you come up to New York and hang out with us? Went up to New York, saw him play, sang a song with him, got in my little 1968 VW Fastback with a dent in the hood from the time my mom was caught in a riot in Washington, D.C., caught on fire, and a mace canister bounced off the hood of her car. She gave me that car. I lived in it for a while, in the fetal position in the backseat. Anyway, I drove up to New York, I saw them, I sang a song with them, I drove back to my job at Haagen-Dazs, scooping ice cream with an apron, last straight job I ever had, and I got a call from one of the members. Hey, we're looking for a new singer. You're pretty crazy. You want to come back up to New York and audition? And that's when I stopped everything and looked at my life. I went, wow, I could last as long as this store lasts, scooping ice cream, or I could go up to New York and audition in a band I don't really know the songs of because they don't have that many records out, and take a huge chance with my life. And that's when I realized I had absolutely not one damn thing in the world to lose. And it was perhaps the first adult thought that ever rocketed through my tiny mind. So I took an Amtrak bus up there, I auditioned, and they said, we're gonna have a band meeting, we're gonna be back in a while. I figured this would take days. It's like 7 minutes later, all right, you're in. And I stood there, this is no joke, for at least, well, it felt like 5 minutes, it was probably about 40 seconds. I said, I'm in what? They said, you're in Black Flag. I said, doing what? You're the singer. In what? Black Flag. Doing what? The singer. I go, so what do I do? You sing. When? As soon as you quit your little job, give away all your stuff, here's a tour itinerary. As soon as you can find our van, you jump in it, because we got to go back to Los Angeles and record the first Black Flag album. I'm like, wow, so who's on that? You. Me? Doing what? Singing. Do you want this job or not? I said, I'm sorry, I'm in total disbelief. They said, congratulations, and Dukowski hands me this folder, and here are lyrics. I'm like, oh, it's like this huge passel. And so I sit on an Amtrak going back, to Washington, D.C., completely silent, holding this folder, looking at these words, going, I'm never, ever going to be able to memorize this. This is insane. So I get back to Washington, D.C. I've been gone for a day and a half. There's no internets. There's no cell phones. Ian calls me. He goes, where have you been? Are you okay? I said, oh, I couldn't tell you. Here's what happened. I rolled out the whole thing. It's the only time in my life I've ever asked anyone for advice. I said, here's the deal. What do you think? Because he's my older, smarter, younger brother. And he said, are you kidding? You're going to be great. I'll take you to the bus station. I still have the bus ticket, and I still have Ian's hand-scrawled instructions on how we were going to drive down to the bus station for me to get in a bus and go to Detroit, Michigan, and meet up with Black Flag. I get off the bus, and I take a taxi, I think to Clutch Cargo, the name of the venue, and I beat the band there. They're still on the road. I walk in alone with my duffel bag and nothing, just t-shirt, jeans, duffel bag. And I walk in, and there's a woman behind the bar. I'll never forget this. She said, can I help you? I walked up to the bar, and I put my duffel bag down. I said, I'm the singer in Black Flag. Like, I'm trying it on for size. And she went, great, would you like something to drink? I was like, oh yeah, here it comes, the rock star. I said, I'd like a Coke, please. And she poured me one of those awful bar Cokes that have no, all syrup, no water, no carbonation whatsoever. I'm like, the good life. And then, and here I am 35 years later. And so the thing that I wanted to get across is I still don't really have any sense of direction. I reconcile myself to being an adventurist with no real fear of death. Don't take that I think that I'm a tough guy or I'm looking for a problem or a fight. I'm almost 55 and everything hurts. Any 16-year-old boy or girl could beat me up and drop me. I'm fully aware of this. That's why I'm polite to everyone. However, at this point, I just go for the headlines. I just invent stuff and then throw myself in. Man travels to 11 countries in 3 months alone with a backpack of Cliff Bars and a camera. And then I call Rita, my incredible travel agent. I go, I want to go to this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. She goes, that's a lot of traveling. I said, I'm a crazy person. She goes, oh, I know that. She books it, and I leave. And I come back months later, 10 pounds lighter with a whole lot more information. And so I try to actualize, my biggest coup in life is to actualize ideas that I have, to take them from the cerebral and put them into the physical world. I want to do this, and then boom, 3 weeks later, my feet are on the ground and I'm there. If you've ever suffered through any of my talking shows before, you will notice that I never talk about any country that I've ever been to. I do not speculate on any, well, over there in Cairo, they're really doing a bit dipper. I only talk about the 3 times I was in Cairo, never as an expert, just as a traveler. And so the point I'm trying to make is that you are now somewhat temporarily incarcerated in a wonderful air-conditioned, hopefully comfortable building with an aging, gray-haired maniac. I hope you enjoy what's about to come. That was the introduction. So, here's the thing. I am not a political person by nature, but as an American, I'm somewhat political because we all are, because we live in a very political country. Like I said before, we are in a post-political age in that everything is high definition. Anything we want to know, we can know. Anything we want to do, we can kind of do. And so it's up to you to do or not do whatever you're going to do or not do. I don't believe in we anymore. Don't take that to be negative. I'm just saying We shall not overcome, I'm quite sure of it. We had many chances to overcome, and we had many good people teaching us the ways to overcome. We weren't interested. We had the 13th Amendment in 1865 abolishing slavery. From that, we got the 14th Amendment in 1868, my personal favorite, giving everyone equal protection under the law and citizenship when they're born here. And that was all wonderful. And from all that, guess what we got? Jim Crow. We got institutionalized racism. And we got people not getting able to vote, not being able to go to this university or that school in your wonderful America. So we shall not overcome. However, you will overcome, and I will overcome. We are doomed. You're going to be fine. Homo sapiens are screwed, and I have the proof. So I'm going to be Deborah Downer for just a few seconds because I've got proof. Because I didn't read it in a book, I went out and I got it for myself. With a few things I did read. A long time ago, I tried to find people who spoke English real good. And when you ask people, who speaks English real good? Shakespeare, oh yes. Bob Dylan, yes. But Mark Twain, who I think took English and kind of lifted up his dress and slapped it on the ass and had his way with English, and English went, go ahead, you rascal. F. Scott Fitzgerald, to me, was an architect of English. I mean, he couldn't spell very well, but when he would write a sentence, you're like, that's like the Sistine Chapel ceiling in a sentence. That's very nice. But one of my favorite users of English is one Abraham Lincoln. And in times of tribulation, I look up different passages of Lincoln, like people go to a religious text or to their guru or some spiritual place to get a little bit of clarity. For me, Lincoln was the soberest, bestest, clearest thinking president we've ever had. His use of the English language, even at an early age, was monumental. He kicked ass like Bruce Lee in the Chinese Connection with English as a young guy. And there was a speech he made on January 27, 1838. He was 28 years of age. It's called the Speech to the Young Men's Lyceum. And he was reacting to some things that had happened in Missouri, where I think they had hanged some gamblers and taken an African-American man and I think burned him alive and killed him, and he freaked out. He basically said, enough. And he was mad and sad and sickened, and he wrote this amazing 100-word speech. You can find it online. It is fantastic. And there's parts of it that I think bespeak of where we are right now. So all that long-windedness was to bring us right to this. At the beginning of the speech, he says, I'm going to be paraphrasing. If I get some words wrong, please forgive me. I'm no expert, I'm just a fan. He said, we find ourselves in peaceful possession of the fairest portion of the earth as regards extent of territory, fertility of soil, and salubrity of climate. Basically, it goes long, you can plant on it, and it's like, it smells wonderful. And then he said, we find ourselves under a government of political systems conducing more essentially to the ends of civil and religious liberties than the history of previous times tells us. Basically, as far as getting to civil and religious liberty, fair, transparency, American democracy, this version of it is the greatest in human history. All of human history has been leading up to what we are doing right now. Then he says something really brilliant. He is a lawyer. He understands the power of words. He said, we, when mounting the stage of existence, found ourselves to be the noble inheritors of these fundamental blessings. And that's a loaded sentence, and I'm not channeling him. I'm just saying, maybe deconstructing the sentence slightly. This is perhaps what he's trying to get across. The noble inheritors. You didn't build this. This was not yours. This was given to you. Be humble. Be grateful, because these smart people gave it to you. And of these fundamental blessings, there's law. It is a nation of laws. Obey it, and it is a blessing. Every breath you take in this country is a blessing. Do right. And he said, we owe our fathers, our forefathers, we owe them gratitude. We owe ourselves justice. And we owe posterity, the future, we owe posterity duty. We must do things. To be an American, to stand here then and now, you got work to do, American. You must honor your past, to remember where you came from. You must be giving each other justice. You must be justified in yourself, be fair to others, and you got to look out for the people who are going to come next so they can wake up 100 years from now and be grateful for you because you gave them what you got given all those years ago. It's a beautiful line of thought. Basically, be humble, but be active. Being an American is maintenance. You don't stand around and hang out. You got to lift up stuff. You got to do things to be here because you come from something that is fantastic. And the best thing you can do is not screw it up and pass it along as clean and as decently as you can. So he said that is what we owe to the past, ourselves, and the future. So he said it is imperative that we perform these tasks, with great faith, very faithfully, he said. So he said, so how do we perform it? How do we perform these tasks? How do we predict, danger to America? At what point should we expect danger? And so he put out a hypothetical. Should we expect some transatlantic giant to step the ocean and crush us at a blow? Never! With an exclamation point, said Lincoln. He said, not all the combined armies of Europe, Asia, and Africa, with the treasures of the earth, our own excepted, in their military chest, with a Bonaparte as a leader. And in those days, Napoleonic strategies were used in the Civil War, as you know, by the North and the South. Perhaps when Grant became general for the Union armies, very iconoclast, his basic motto was, how do you win? Find the enemy and kill them. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he said, basically. So perhaps he threw out Napoleonic strategies, and when you're down to sticks and stones and eating bark for a winter's meal, maybe Napoleon doesn't work as much as like get him and strangle him because the bullets are gone. Anyway, Bonaparte was seen then and now as a supreme military strategist. So, Mr. Lincoln says, the rest of the world, with the combined treasures of the earth, except for our own, with a Bonaparte as a commander, could not by force so much as take a drink from the Ohio River or lay a tread on the Blue Ridge in a trial of 1,000 years. 1,000 years is a long time for the rest of the world to try and beat up on this landmass. That's a lot of times for us to get it wrong and the rest of the world to get it right, drink from the Ohio, and lay a track on the Blue Ridge. Such was Lincoln's faith in us. He said, you'll never beat us. The rest of the world, even with the bestest military commander in the world, we got this. That's how much he loved America and loved us and knew what we could do. So then he re-ups the question, at what point then should we expect the approach of danger? I answer. He said, it shall not come from abroad. If it ever reach us, it must spring up amongst us. It will not come from abroad. And then very famously, he said, if destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher. We either survive all time or die by suicide. And that's what he said in 1838 as a 28-year-old guy. How literate and well could you put together a sentence when you were that age? Not me, man. And so that's what Lincoln said. And I would love to think that we have chosen the former part of that last sentence, survive all time. However, I think we have chosen the latter, to die by suicide. And what I mean by that is, America, as we know it, we're kind of done. We are done. You are doing just great. Not because you came here, because you're not insane. Because I'm going to assume, which is a slippery slope, I know, I'm going to assume that you don't care if Bill and Tom get married. I'm sure you'll realize that Bill and Tom get married tonight. They're still serving omelets tomorrow. Everything's going to be okay. Coffee's still available. Traffic still happens. And your cubicle will be waiting for you on Monday morning. If Samantha and Patrice get married, everything's going to be fine. Yet, you share a country with people who think of this like, no, it's the end. These are people who live in a weird stone age, yet have cell phones and internet access. And so I have been trying to untangle the Gordian knot of human existence for years. And every single time I'm like, aha, I've got it. I realize I've just found yet another tile in the great mosaic of humanity, this Gordian knot of human existence. And so to be succinct, I have concluded that humans are simultaneously too highly functioning and too low functioning at the same time to ever get anywhere. We are where we are going to get. We are done. You're going to go any damn place you want, and I'm sure it's going to be a sexy, wonderful ride. We suck. We have fried planet Earth, and I have proof. I'm going to wait a little while before I drop all that depressing stuff on you, because I went and found out the facts for myself. Anyway, I'm just saying, I'm done with we, but I'm never more in love with you in my entire life, because you and me, that's a we I can deal with. You and me, we're going to get great stuff done, because we're cool, we're smart, we're scientifically inclined. We believe in the law. We think if Bill and Tom get married, and I know I hammer on homophobia a lot, because I think it's right there with racism. We're like, who logics that? How can you have access to a Ramones record and still be racist. Like, you have all, like, so much good stuff is available to you. Why would you take on the heavy burden of being a racist or a misogynist or a homophobe? Like, how do you carry that around? I'm not strong enough to put that in my pack. I just can't lift it. My dad could. He was fantastic at it. In economics, he was a number-crunching, right-wing psychopath. And I'm sure we're a lot alike in a lot of ways. This metabolism-wise, I'm sure he's still around, crouching low in the weeds somewhere in Virginia with his AR-15, waiting for his next directive from Sean Hannity. I don't know. Anyway, he tried to convince me that brown people are bad, Chinese people are shifty, women are stupid, and gay people are markers of an empire about to fall. And he would give me all this stuff at age 10. He'd tell me, I'm 10, you're ruining my life. And he'd go, and this is what whiskey tastes like. And we watch it down with whiskey. I do shots with my dad. I can't believe I survived it. I thank Joey Ramone. Anyway, I realized a long time ago that no matter how crappy people can be, they do deserve respect. All living things have some dignity. I'll get into that in a little while. And so you must try your best. I'm not telling you, I'm just saying I should try my best to give that to them. And so here's a lesson I learned. It took me like damn near 20 years to get the lesson, but I finally got it. Many, many years ago, between two tours, I'm basically, between any two tours, for the most part, in part, I'm unemployed, which I cannot stand. I do not work for money, I work for activity. I don't go on vacation, I travel. I do not like sitting on the couch. I'm afraid I'll never be able to get up. And if I sit on the couch on the weekend listening to a record, I have to get up in between. Like, don't get too used to the couch. Whenever I'm home, it's a nice place. It's a man bunker. I live alone in it. I do not have a row of cages with my trick-ass bitches. I do not cocaine off the asses of 14-year-old strippers. And it's just, I live alone with a bunch of vinyl and books. I'm miserable. And so anyway, if I sit there too long, I go, this is a can, and the top is sealing. I'm never gonna get out of this box. The world is waiting for me, I gotta go. And sometimes I get so pent up, I have to get in my car and run errands. Like I'll buy a brush. I need a brush for something that needs brushing, and I'll go to the Valley. I'll go to the Valley, and I'll go to Bed Bath & Beyond, and I'll get a candle. I never use them, but I'll get one just in case the power goes out, and I don't know. But like, I gotta move, I gotta see people, things gotta be going by me. So when I sit at home, I go, I'm dying. It's death. It's retirement. It's the end, and I want none of that. And so anyway, between tours, I will kind of take any job, and hopefully I explained to you clearly enough, I'm not really talented to do anything except park your car, clean up after your animal, and scoop your ice cream. Anything else, I'm like, I'll show up for anything because I know exactly where I can go back to. Flipping meat, parking cars, wearing an apron, and I'm not putting it down, I'm just saying, I know where I come from, so anything else, I have no fear whatsoever. Would you like to audition for a major part in one of the most famous TV series in the world? Yeah, man. Can I take a free pen on the way out? I don't care. And so I work between tours and whatever will come for me. Henry, would you like to be in a movie where you get covered in fake bugs and go, ah? Yeah, man, I'll take it. Like, no audition? Sure, I'm in. I've been in films that are so cheap, you walk onto set in t-shirt and jeans and go, that's your outfit, because they don't have any wardrobe, and here's your lunch. It's from Subway, but it's only 6 inches. Like, can I get a foot-long version? I'm sorry, you know, the credit card, it's running out. So I've been in a bunch of films like that. And I was in a film a long time ago called Jack Frost. And Jack Frost, shut up. I'm kidding, don't shut up. Never shut up. You're right, it's ridiculous. But it's not Streetcar Named Desire, and I'm not Brando, so I figured it was a fit. It's about a guy who's not the best dad, Michael Keaton, great actor, but in this film he's not a great dad. He dies, he's reincarnated as a snowman, and he makes up with his son, then out comes the sun, and he melts away. But at least he makes good with the kid. They need a psychotic hockey coach for a bunch of obstreperous 8-year-old Hollywood kids. And so they said, Henry, we want you to come in and like you'll lord over a bunch of 8-year-old kids and give them weird, just kind of dissonant ideas of brutality and sportsmanlike conduct all in one sentence. I said, like what? Go out there and wipe the eyes of their filthy butts, Playfair. I'm like, cool, I can do that. When do I audition? They go, no, we don't need an audition. We know you can yell until your eyes bug out of your head. You want the part. I said, yes, sure. And so a few weeks later, I turn up on the lot at Warner Brothers, and I'm now hanging out with a bunch of Hollywood actor kids. And they're wonderful, and they can act their little asses off. Like, okay, all of you at once cry. They all start crying, real tears. Okay, switch the lines of dialogue. You say his line, they're just little acting machines, and they're really talented. All of them have Hollywood moms who reside in the craft services area under the umbrellas with the coffee and the fruits and the cookies on the phone doing business for their child. They couldn't act. They were too bad to be in a production of Our Town, but by God, that little kid's gonna act his ass off. And so they're on the phone, violent. You tell Oprah she can piss up a roof. We are not taking anything less than $30,000. That slut can kiss my... And then the kid walks up, hi, Mom. Like, hold on. Hey, Sean, how are we? Did we do our math lesson? Could we have the rented teacher because you're really not getting an education? It's going to turn you into a drug addict by the time you're 14. Okay, go back there. You tell that bitch I'm going to come and bite her in the face. And you realize these kids are totally getting destroyed. And they saw me as a dented person. And so within a few days of me coaching them in this rink we rented, they find themselves in my trailer, sitting on the couch and on the floor, looking up at me, and I perverted all of them. With Duke Ellington, John Coltrane, I gave them CDRs. I said, okay, today's jazz lesson. I go, you all like punk rock? Yeah, I like punk rock. I go, okay, you want to listen to some legendary punk rock from one of the world's meanest, baddest ass genius punk rockers? Yay! His name is Miles Davis. And so I would make all these CDRs and give these kids jazz music, and they loved it. And the moms were like, Henry, my son has 4 CDs from you, and I just want to thank you. We're listening to like this jazz music on the way to his soccer, karate, drum, violin class. So anyway, I do the film, I've never seen it. I got my scale paycheck, which is like, true, there it is, there's nothing. But it was a few weeks of work, and I thought nothing about it. Several months goes by, and the emails start coming in. Henry, this is a very serious letter we're having. I'm from Poughkeepsie, we keep it real. I love you, man. I've seen you 38 times. I've named 2 dogs after you. Jack Frost, why? I used to like you, man, but now I see what you are. You are a sellout, shallow, you're in a stupid movie about a snowman. Suck! And so that's that. And I don't even know how to answer a letter like that. Besides, I live in the real world. I don't like sitting around. I like to keep eating. I have bills to pay. And when someone has an idea for a movie and I can do it, and it's either that or sitting around, I'm going for an active life with many vicissitudes and a lot of variety. If you can't handle that, I don't care. Because no one was injured making the movie. It's all fine. And so the years go on, and people have written comics about it. They have me and Ian next to each other. Ian, what do you regret? I did this, I said this, I said that. And then they cut to me, what do you regret? Jack Frost. Meanwhile, I have it still shrink wrapped. I think I bought it for $1.49 at a Flying J truck stop a few years ago. Taped to a kitten. Like this, take the kitten, you get the DVD. Or take the DVD, free cat, get it out. Anyway, so years and years and years go by. I'm no longer thinking about Jack Frost. Let's flash forward to the future, to now. I'm off the road in Los Angeles trying to get through a weekend of flatline existence. Like I said, I'm not snorting cocaine off anybody. I don't drink, I don't drive fast. I'm not exactly boring, but I am work obsessed. And so on Friday night, my big Friday night for me is to go to one of 2 or 3 different Starbucks. I don't want to show up at any one of them with any great frequency, lest they think I'm a nut with no life. So I rotate, and you see the same people in the other ones, and you're like, no life, all right. And so I'm in the one in Toluca Lake, which is famous for being next to the Bob's Big Boy, where I think David Lynch ate the 914 grilled cheese sandwiches every day, same meal. That's the one I was at. At the Bob's Big Boy in the warm months, it's a beautiful, large Bob's Big Boy fast food place with a huge parking lot. Traditionally, in the warmer months of the year, gearheads, people who love automobiles and motorcycles, gather in the parking lot by the hundreds with vintage vehicles. They are fantastic. Thunderbirds, Woodies, hoods up, gleaming motors, beautiful motorcycles, and men and women digging each other's automobiles and motorcycles. Very, very friendly event. But gearheads, and these men and women are these terrifying Southern Californian people, tattooed, huge, like men that they look like they're fat, but it's all iron. It's like every bit of them is strong. They shake your hand, something in your hand breaks. You realize you're never going to play piano again. And these are just these big men, half an ear. Where'd you lose the ear? Pelican Bay Gladiator. I did 4 years for looking at a guy like you and breaking his face. Okay, thanks. And these men are all terrifying. They're as wide as they are tall, all muscle, tattoos on their face, tattoos all the way down to the cuticles of their nails, boots, leather vests. They look like that. Many piercings, and the women who love them, breasts exposed, tattoos all the way down them. Harley this, all tattooed, piercings in their eyeballs, and the cigarette behind the ear for later, a joint in the other one for later. And they come into the Starbucks to use the restrooms and to buy overpriced caffeinated sugary drinks. And they come in like just a line of these huge men and women, and you can smell the leather and the victory. And so I'm this skeletal old man, luckily to still have some hair on his head. This is not hair, it's a pate. It's a pate. That's what at my age, that's what it is. I'm lucky to have some up there. I'm in the corner, scratch away in my notebook, listening to my favorite Friday night Here Comes the Weekend record, the Damned's third studio album, Machine Gun Etiquette, is the official start of the Friday night of me. I've played it all over the world for at least 150 years, and so I'm listening to Machine Gun Etiquette, and I become aware of a large human form moving towards me. I take one eyeball, and I kind of look up, and I see one of the large men from the Bob's Big Boy parking lot. He is a linebacker of a man, a refrigerator with a head on it. And he comes over, clanking over the wallet chain and the boots and the tattoos, and he stands over my table and stares down at me. And I look up at him like I'm the rabbit, he's the bald eagle, and I'm about to get my brain squished as he goes and takes me back to the nest to feed to his young. And so, for what seems like a fiscal quarter, is a few seconds, nothing happens. He says nothing, I say nothing. I'm pinned in the corner, pen in hand, looking like, oh, so this is how I die. In a Starbucks in Toluca Lake. Damn, really? But you never know how you're gonna go. Anyway, he goes on for several seconds, nothing. And then his face starts to twitch and convulse, like he's either about to sneeze or he's trying to chew and swallow a bee. Like is he gonna hurl on me? And I say nothing. I'm just like, what's it gonna be? He starts crying, very, very loud. A tear falls from his face and splashes on my table. I politely pull my notebook back. I don't want his DNA on my stuff in case there's future litigation. What was his DNA doing in your notebook? He cried on me? Who's gonna believe it? Men like this don't cry. He cries. Now, everyone in Starbucks, what would you rather do? Drink your drink or look over at a 260-pound man weeping at a 175-pound man who was big in the 80s. So everyone stops, and they're looking over there at this huge man going, and I'm like, this is performance art? Finally, the large man speaks. My wife died! I'm sorry. I was sorry. Obviously, it upsets him. Married! 36 years, no kids. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. That's very sad. He's really deep in it. Every year around Christmas, we'd watch the same movie. We love Jack Frost. It was our movie. She's been dead for a long time. I still watch it. Thank you? I mean, what do you say? And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Because some of you have lost someone dear to you. You know it doesn't get better. You just put it in your pack and you go, damn, man, this sucks. And you just keep on going. But you never feel better about it. You never get over it. You don't wake up and go, well, they're dead. It's going to be okay. It's not going to be okay. You're going to miss them for the rest of your life. It sucks. And so I have an understanding of his pain. And he's being brave enough to cry in front of a bunch of people holding their drinks going like, is this happening? Like, What did the weird guy with the gray hair say? Maybe it was something so witty, so biting, so to the marrow of human existence. The man was disarmed and moved to a state of tears. And so he still watches the movie without his dearly beloved wife, but he's a man. And you know how you men are. You women know how we men are. We're kind of geeks and nerds. And whenever we can talk to the person who did something that we are kind of a fan of, we need to know more. Remember that scene? When you're in the Jeep, and you go around the corner, and you see the fake snowman, and the snowman goes, hey, what are you doing? You go, whoa! And you go in reverse around the corner with all the snow, and that was so great. The nerd in me wants to say, ooh, I'm glad you mentioned that, because if we went out the door and that way, like 3 traffic lights, we'd be at gate 5 of Warner Brothers. If you went in to make a couple of lefts and rights, that's where we shot that scene. I had not driven a stick in a long time, never driven a Jeep before. That Jeep belonged to the director of the film. He put a bunch of snow down on the ground with a Warner Brothers snow machine. It cost like $8,000 a second to take like June in Los Angeles and turn it into a freaking winter wonderland, but they did it. And he said, can you get in my Jeep right now and go backwards around the corner, patch out in the ice and make it look really good? I'm like, he goes, great, here we go, get in. And so I pull up, and there's the snowman, the animatronic snowman. Hey, what is this? I'm like, whoa! And I did it perfectly twice. I have no idea how I did it, but I did it, and I didn't wreck nothing. And I wanted to tell him this, because I figured he'd be like, that's great! But he lost his wife, and he watches the movie, and I didn't think the timing was appropriate. So I said, that scene, boy, that's yeah. I'm so sorry about your wife. Around this time, his equally terrifying friend of similar bulk sees him crying in the corner and probably thinks, that old gray-haired man made my big burly friend cry. I'm gonna kick some righteous ass. And so he goes walking over there, boom, boom, he goes walking over, stands shoulder to shoulder with his buddy, looks down at me and looks at him like, got messing with you, man? You want to take care of him? He's like, no, he's a Jack Frost! And he's like, oh yeah. No, I've seen the movie with him, I sit with him, yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. I like that thing when you were in the Jeep. Oh yeah, thanks. And the crying man, he's a good guy. He's brave enough to let down his macho guard and cry in front of a room full of people, cry in front of me. Like, I'm really sorry, Mr. Rollins. I won't disturb your evening. Thank you so much. I'm like, it's cool, man. We shook hands. And he and his friend walk away, and it takes a few minutes, but the dull roar of humanity at Starbucks starts to rise up again. People get bored, they're like, okay, well, weird guy, cried, skinny old man in the corner, done, back to coffee and conversation. I'm like, okay. I go back to the notebook. Dear diary, I think I found something to write about for my weekly LA Weekly column. And so I'm starting to scratch that out, and I see with my little eye 2 human forms approaching me. They're going to sit down to the table to my left, your right. And it's 2 middle-aged women. One woman sits down next to me. The woman who's going to be sitting at the table opposite her, opposite me, stops, looks down, sees me, and in an incredible high decibel pitch, fairly screeches, oh my God, I love you! It is not for a misanthropic person like me to deconstruct the many meanings of love to well-adjusted people and good-looking people, as like you are. But I know from my rudimentary exposure to different kinds of love that it is not only a many-splendored thing, but it is a very complex thing, and as complex and as dynamic as humanity itself, in that it's humans fairly neurotic and fairly in a perpetual state of being damn near out of their minds. I love it. What day is it? OCD. And then it wears off like, okay, I'm in love. And then I was in love, I missed it. So it's hell. And so there's different kinds of love. There's the love where you were with someone and you're not with them anymore. Some of you have had that, and 20 years later you think of that person and you're like, it still hurts. I saw that woman a few years ago in New York. I hadn't seen her for like a long time. I was at a Dinosaur Jr. show. I turned a corner and there she was back. I'm like, She's like, hey Henry, how you doing? I'm awful! Right down on the rice paper. I'm out! And she was just, I'm like, I want my spleen back. Anyway, she said, how you doing? Not good now. Thanks for the next 5 years of dreams. I saw someone in New York the other day. Hey, can we take a picture of you and my daughter? I'm like, hi, I'm Henry. How are you doing? I'm going to send that to that girl you used to date a long time ago. I'm like, I'm acting out. I'm sorry. I'm just saying that love is really complicated. So there's different kinds. And like a dog that barks, angry bark, happy bark, like aggravated bark. There's different kinds of love. And when someone says, I love you! That is a kind of love that is low impact. It's the kind of love that we assign to pizza and dogs. Do you love pizza? I love pizza! I can hang out with that person. Because I too love pizza. And puppies. I love puppies, I love them so much! That person's okay, they just love puppies. And they're probably a wonderful person to hang out with. Then there's the kind of love where you see an incoming email. Henry, I'm in your driveway. I love you. We need to speak. That's happened to me. And that's not fun at all. We don't need to speak. Oh, yes, we do. I'm in park. I'm not leaving. Love sucks. So when this woman stands and professes to everyone in Starbucks and to me, oh my God, I love you! From her tone and the way she pitched it, I assigned that love to be there with pizza and puppies, and I didn't take it as a threat. And I thought, she loves me for something that's just fine. And now everyone is stopped because huge biker men cry in front of him. Middle-aged women profess their love for him. Who is he? And so I went, thanks. What else do you say? Thanks. Look, it's just. And her friend goes like, who is he? Oh my God, you don't know? He is the greatest neo-Nazi! Right. And many years ago, back when I was fab, I was in the second season of some show called Sons of Anarchy, where I play a neo-Nazi, which was no stretch for me, because of course I am one on the weekend. I'm kidding. So I met Kurt Sutter. I got called in for this meeting, and he said, I want to talk to you about my TV show. We're thinking about this character, and we talked about this bad guy for an hour. And he goes, so what do you think? I said, yeah, I think that's a pretty intense bit of work there. He goes, you want to be this guy? I'm like, well, yeah, when do I audition? He goes, I know you can do it. I just want to know if you want to do it. That's all this meeting is gauging your interest. I'm like, consider me interested. Good, I'll see you on the set. Don't say a word about it until you get the email from us. I said, did I just get a job? He went, yep. I walked back to my car numb. I'm like, I have a job in a TV show. Damn! And that's how I got the job. It was one of the best times in my life. Wonderful. A huge cast, not one jerk in the entire cast. Just wonderful. Anyway, I was a white power guy. Awesome. And so this woman said that I was the best neo-Nazi. And that's a mixed bag, isn't it? Because unless you really are one, you don't want to be one, nor do you want to be the best one. However, anything I do, I try to be really damn good at. And you probably do. Like, can you pick me up and take me to work? I'm going to be the best picker-upper of you you've ever seen. I'm going to be on time, in time, with the coffee. I'm there. And so when they said, hey, be in this show, I gave that damn show everything I have. Like, I give everything I do, everything I have. That's just how it is. And so when she said you were the best neo-Nazi, I was like, well, thank you. And it would have been so awful had she said, you're the pretty good neo-Nazi. Like, really? Who's better? Like, really, I didn't salute enough? Like, who has the edge? Who has that Nazi edge on me? And can I do enough, like, Nazi ups to get back in battle shape? But for her, I was the best neo-Nazi. Awesome, got that. And her friend would go, how do you take that? And for her friend goes, oh, okay. But thankfully, she qualified. Oh my God, he's in a show called Automatically! And that's when everyone goes like, my God, it is him! I thought he was taller. Here's the thing. Here's the thing that happens to me in public. At the airport, I'm walking by a bunch of people. Someone will recognize me, and I always know when I've been recognized. Someone will stop, they fixate on me, and then they pan down. Because in reality, I'm shorter than you think. And that's the tell. It's like, and you see the look on their face, like, it'd be easy. And so now everyone at Starbucks is yet again looking at the man who makes big men cry, the neo-Nazi from the TV show. And she goes, can we do a photo? And I don't like saying no to people, because I like people and they're being nice. The cell phone is an interesting invention. The photo function has altered my life, because a lot of people need verification that they met me. Can we do a photo? Yeah, we're in the economy section of an airplane. That's boarding. There's a line of 80 angry people looking not at you, at me, because I'm facing them as you and I are going to do this selfie with me in it, because you need this photo instead of sitting down in 80J, like you should. And so we do the photo, the camera does the thing, doesn't work, and everyone walks by me, I hate you, hate you, hate you. So anyway, the photo function on the cell phone, I have been photographed more than a dirty senator. Anyway, so I'm a good guy, go along, get along type, and so I stand up and she hands her cell phone to her friend. She goes, oh my God, I don't know how this one works. Hold on. This woman throws her arm around me and starts groping me to get like a body fat index reading. And I'll be honest with you, honesty sucks. It's more action than I had that whole year. By some woman from the valley, and she's groping me. I'm like, it's not that bad. I'm not doing it. And her friend, I think I'm taking a video. Oh my God, it's ringing. Hold on. Hi. Yeah, I'm with Barbara. It's your mother. Yeah, I'm taking a photo of her and this neo-Nazi. Yeah, we're at the Starbucks on Riverside. Yeah, okay, she'll call you later. How do I do this? It takes like a minute and a half. I can smell her food wafting out of her mouth, our underarm sensor mingling. We can get a room later. I mean, we're friends now. And so we do the photo, and they sit down and immediately forget me, and you get into their conversation. And I go back to my lonely notebook, and realizing that sometimes things come in three, it's probably time for me to leave, because the third installment of this thing, I don't want to know about it. And so I left, and I went home, but it made me realize that everything you do has a consequence. I mean, it's not the only time I've learned that lesson. So you make a movie that's not, maybe it's not Godfather 2, but someone dug it. Somewhere out there, someone is checking out what you do. So words matter. And when someone says, people are being way too politically correct for my liking, really? I don't think they're politically correct enough. I think words do matter. I like it when, I'm older than most of you, but a long time ago, you used to say gay all the time. Everything was gay. No homophobic sentiment was meant. That's gay, you're gay, it's just gay, and no one ever took offense. And you say that now, people are like, hey man, we're evolving. That's not part of the conversation anymore. It's like the word Negro. When I was young, that Negro, and no one would be offended. That's the 1860s when I was young. We've moved on, and I love it when I see any signs of progress from the American people. Like, we're moving on, we're not calling people fags anymore because it's offensive. Yeah! Like maybe we're gonna lose a few gills. Maybe we're gonna lose a few inches of twitching primordial tail. Maybe we emerge a bit more from the ooze. Maybe we're getting up the road just a little, and we'll all have Frank Zappa records in our house before the end of the century. It could happen. And everyone once in a while there's an indicator, and I love it when I hear it in language. Like, we don't say that anymore, we're moving on. We're more sensitive, we're more educated. Like, we're cooler now. And like, we are not cooler now. We are regressing. You and I, however, are evolving second after second, which is why it's an honor for me to be with you. Because, like I said, this is a we that I can handle. The we out there, the Santa suits and the inebriation and the violence that no doubt will come. It's all yours. I'm running the other way, back to my records. Anyway, I will take any sign of human progress. One of the signs I have seen in progress in America are states that are going legal for cannabis. I am not someone who likes to smoke marijuana. I smoked it once, May 1987, in Trenton, New Jersey. That's the first time and only time I smoked marijuana. That's how bored I was. Band practice had concluded. Andrew and Sim are sitting across from each other at a table at 7-Eleven Hamilton Avenue. I don't know why I remember this stuff. And they have this big joint, and they're here back and forth, and it smells fantastic, actually, very pungent. And I said, let me have some of that. And they're like, what? I said, I'm so bored, I'd like to try marijuana, please. And they, okay, and they were just hell-bent on watching. I'm like, am I doing it right? I feel like Che Guevara. Counterculture? And I did not know that it doesn't matter if you hold it in or not, but I'm an overachiever just because I'm under-talented. And so I held my breath. I was like frickin' Jocko Stone. Like a week and a half, it's like, no smoke came out, and it fully absorbed. They said, are you high? I was blasted within about 7 seconds. They said, so what's it like? And I went into this weird tangent about the universe, and halfway through the sentence, I had no idea how it began. We're just kind of like Dope 101. I'm like, well, we're all connected through the... What was I talking about? They're like, oh my God, you're doing that thing that we did when we were 11 when we first started smoking marijuana. And they gave me a glass of water. Here, drink this. I'm like, okay. And I couldn't figure out how to put the plastic bongo glass back on the table. I'm like, I go, how do you do that? They go, like that. And they just got to, I'm like, thanks. Then I said, how long does this last? They said 20, 30 minutes. I said, okay, I'll just wait. This sucks. I hate it. I'm monitoring everything that I'm doing. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Are you looking at me? Are you reading my thoughts? Am I thinking something stupid? Are you evaluating me? I like the way I'm feeling right now. This cannot end fast enough. I've never gone back. I hold no interest in you whatsoever. However, I don't want you going to jail with an ass pocket of weed coming away from some festival. I think if you want to smoke marijuana, if they're going to give you whiskey and tobacco, they might as well give you marijuana. I think we'll be fine. Look at Amsterdam. You walk down the streets, hash is available. I've never seen anyone running down the street. The empire's crumbling! Dutch people are bored of hash. They're like, yeah, tried it when I was 11. Boring. Gotta go. It's only Americans. Oh my God, you can get hash here! American tourist kids. The Dutch are like, yep, we're indifferent. Go smoke it, snort it, shoot it, rub it into your belly, as Mr. Carlin used to say. But we are bored. And so I think marijuana legalized in America will be just fine. When Colorado, the place I never thought would go legal for marijuana, went legal for cannabis, I became fascinated because America and cannabis has a very long history of injustice, hypocrisy, racism, classism, and cultural warfare. So I pitched it to History Channel. Can we do an episode of 10 things you don't know about the history of hemp and cannabis in America? And they went, wow, yes! And so we got green light and we got the budget. So on 4/20, on April 20, last year, the year before, I forget, we went to Denver, Colorado for the Cannabis Cup, the 30,000 person cannabis get down in this massive building. And so we're History Channel. We get to go in first because we're cool like that. So we're inside the building. So our camera shot is the doors opening and people flooding, running by our camera. The line goes from here to Indiana, waiting for people to get in. You should have seen the cops. I've never seen a more bored group of law officers in my life. Son, could you please pick up the hacky sack? Okay, hold on. There you go. Sir, is that your Frisbee? Okay. Okay, yes, I'll hug you. All right. All right. Could you stand there and not there? My name's Dan. Yeah, Pisces. Okay, would you please? Thank you, listen. So the doors open, and people in multicolored clothes go running by our camera. Yay! And some see me. Henry, I don't love you, but my dad thought you were really cool 30 years ago. And so our job on that day is to do what we call man on the street interview. We interview people, just get a few questions about cannabis, marijuana, and the history. Usually this segment of our show takes about 2 to 3 hours to shoot. On this day it took 10 hours. We went to the non-smoking section where the vendors are. We found people that looked like they could stand up straight, get a release form signed, and bring them over for my inquisition. Do you have any nicknames for marijuana? Go. Oh my God, you're the guy, right? Oh, yeah, oh man, that's so funny. What was the question? Okay. Is this on? Thank you. Take the mic. Just like, okay, thanks. Yeah, you were great. Thank you. Get someone else. We went through like 15 people. Got nothing. So let's go to the smoking section of the building and see if anything gets better. Now it's smoky. People are smoking product because it's legal, and why not? It's 420 by golly. And so we're miking up people. I've got my questions. I can usually memorize anything and just go, okay, 80 questions, got it. And so now it's time for me to ask questions in the haze. I'm like, okay, we got the victim. Okay, hey man, I'm Henry, and hold on, I gotta get the question. Okay, and hold on, I gotta look at the question. And then Kevin's behind the camera. Kevin, can you just like say the question to me, and then I'll say it back to you, but I'll look at him. Ready? What's the question? You don't know it either? And I realized we are getting high. And thankfully, we were like saved by the bell, the lunch bell. Lunchtime, we break everything down when we retire to a green room that's been blocked for us. One of the PAs, one of the production assistants, has scampered away to get us food. We've all ordered, the whatever sandwich, and it comes, and I'm sitting there with my tuna melt submarine sandwich thing, and I'm eating it, and I realize I might be having a marijuana-induced thought. Because it tastes really good. And my taste buds never had this capability for articulation before. Like every taste bud is just like wrapping itself in a loving embrace over every bit of this bolus of food that is rolling in my mouth as I masticate, like the food is exploding in rainbows and unicorns of taste and texture, and the roughness of the toasted baguette. It's like discovering love for the first time. I never want this to end. I want this thing in my mouth for the rest of my life. Where you kind of say goodbye to the food as you swallow it. Oh, there's more. And finally, partway through the meal, I look up and we're all just kind of like, and I feel free to ask. I go like, am I doing Cannabis 101, or is this a really good sandwich? Everyone kind of went, I was going to say that, but I didn't want to be that person. Since you're that person, it is really good, isn't it? And everyone started describing what was like, these tomatoes are so, look, and they open it. So they're so perfectly placed. So when you put down the right upper canine on it, you get this much, the little bit of pesto underneath it. It's like an Einstein, but it's a sandwich. It's like the equation of Fermi, but it's in bread. It's amazing. I never want to leave this moment. And so we talked about the food as it congealed in our hand. We're like, we should probably eat this. Yes. Lunch took an hour and a half. And finally the sun's now setting, like, well, back to work. And we staggered back out into this thing, and 10 hours after we walked in, we walked out with at least 4 minutes of usable material. And we all went slightly ashamed back to our hotel rooms, a little bit high. I sat in my room like, a little stoned. I'm gonna be okay. And so maybe this country becomes slightly more peaceful if some people are screwed up on cannabis. I hope there's no car accidents. I hope no one abuses it. I just like the idea of a bunch of people not shooting themselves in the leg with their stupid gun because they're too high and they're watching Sci-Fi Channel for 40 hours. I can't find my gun because I'm so high. What is that guy doing? That's so funny. I love the idea for Americans to have a chance to do that, because otherwise we are so good at being violent, we are so good at hating, we are so good at destroying things. And so that's why I go to the ends of the earth to get evidence that Homo sapiens are the most ruinous, top-line predators the earth has ever known. And over the summer, I had a moment off. Whenever I'm not obligated to 80 people, I leave America. Not that I don't like it, I love it very much, but the rest of the world is my oyster, and I'm Johnny Quest Jr., and I gotta go. And so I have this amazing travel agent, Rita, who's as crazy as I am, and anywhere I say, drop me, she goes like, oh, I got a trip for that, hold on, we're gonna throw you out of a plane in a gunny sack, you're gonna love it. And so I said, I wanna learn more about systems that are codependent on water and the environment. I want to learn more about biodiversity. I'd like to spend some time either on the Amazon or on the tributary of the Amazon and get more of a 411 feet on the ground understanding of how all that fits together. So I've read a lot about it. I want to learn more by being there. She goes, I have just the trip. It's very sciencey. It's a lot of work. I'm like, I'll take it. And so weeks later, I found myself in beautiful Ecuador, in Quito, up in the Andes Mountains, which is one of the most gorgeous places in the earth. And it's interesting being an American, and you're wonderful, but you know how we are. There's that dichotomy again. You're cool, but we are monsters. Like, we are the Philly Flyers. We are, I'm an American, bitch! Like capitalism, you pussy! Ugh! That's us. You're wonderful, but that's us. And so I'm in Ecuador, and I might be hopey, changey, tree-huggy type, but I'm walking around and people all day are saying, hola, buenas noches, buenas tardes, buenos dias. I'm like, I never want to leave. This is great. The food is nice, and people are friendly, and the kids are gorgeous. It's like, damn, this is amazing. And so I flew from there to, I think, Coca, and I got on a boat, the Manatee, and we take off on the Napo River. And we go down the Napo River, and I'm on a boat full of botanists, biologists, bird experts, and other scientists with a bunch of really wonderful, peaceful, gentle, smart, interesting eco-travelers. And every day we would get off the boat, and we'd walk around and look at the toucans and this bird and that bug and that snake, and we'd learn the history of the land and what's happening to it. And I became friends with one of the guys on the boat, two guys actually. One guy, Raul, the bird guy. I say, okay, the people on the side of the river, they have dugout canoes with motors on the back. So the prehistoric is meeting the new world. What's that about? He said, very good observation, Henry. That's a traditional dugout canoe. Those people are Quichua, they're coastal people. The Roani live further into the interior, but those are Quichua people. Big oil is here. Big timber is here. There, you're going to see them, you'll see the smoke, you'll see the fire. They buy motors for all these people, and they buy them off so they can destroy the interior, the coastline of the Napo River. And basically I said, so Ecuador is getting sold out for timber and oil. He said, exactly. So I said, you have an ecosystem at risk that is delicate and fragile and codependent on every bug and parasite and fungus, yet it's being predated upon not by some critter, but by us. He said, yes. I said, it's all for money. He said, that's going to be the downfall of Ecuador. We're going to lose it all. And that's why they have motors. So they're cool with these people blasting their land apart and denuding it for timber. And so every day you're confronted by these beautiful ecosystems that are like wonderful and more intricate than any laptop computer you have ever owned in your life. The ecosystem of these rainforests is so intricate. One tree, 5 different kinds of vines, 4 different kinds of birds live on it, 50 varieties of ants. There are parasitical things that live on it that drain the tree. There are vines that go up, vines that go down. Finally, they meet, they choke off the tree, and one fine day, the tree falls over after 150 years. As soon as sunlight hits the vacancy that tree is left, things start growing. So everything is breeding, eating, killing, growing, and dying all the time. You feel the heat come from the forest. It is an orgy of life and death, all natural. The only thing that's not natural is your rubber boots walking gently through. So every day we're out in these boats, we're looking at black water, blood water, clear water, all these different waters, different sediments, different trees, different ecosystems, all of it is at risk. At one point, Raul shuts off the boat. He goes, I want everyone to be quiet and look into the water, and hopefully we'll see some freshwater dolphins. As if on cue, 2 dolphins come out of the water. You're like, no way, freshwater dolphins, pink, gray, a mother with her baby. We're like, it's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. And everyone, we're so amazed, no one's even breathing. And all you can hear are birds, monkeys, and the river, and the slight splashing as these beautiful animals come in and out of the water. And you're just amazed by the beauty of all of it. And the thing that was really intense for me was one night we did a night walk, had my cool headlamp. I advise that all of you, I'm going to tell you what to do for just a second. I want all of you to buy a headlamp. A good one, not like a $4 one, get a good one, and then go places where you need a headlamp. It's the best. Anyway, we all snap on our headlights, we go walking through this dripping bit of beautiful jungle, and I'm with this guy named Diego at the back, a naturalist, and he liked me because we both like critters. We're talking about snakes and bugs and all this stuff. And he goes, okay, Henry, he snaps on his lamp and directs it at the tree. He goes like, what do you see? You know, that's not the tree. I'm like, my eyes aren't trained, I don't see anything. He's like, okay, spider, leech, lizard, bat. I'm like, damn, this guy really knows his stuff. And so I kind of got my eyes, I understood what branch a tree frog might hang out on, because it's this way and the bugs are that way. If I was a tree frog, I'd go right there, there's one. And I was able to stump Diego. I go, okay, I spy with my little eye 3 living organisms, go. He's like, leech, I go, good. And you got me, I go, toad, centipede. He said, all right, you're getting the hang of it. So we hung in the back, and at one point we were instructed, everyone, turn off your headlamp and no one make a sound for 3 minutes. Ready, go. And you turn off your headlamp and you're standing in ink darkness with the sound of water falling off leaves, bugs, nocturnal birds, and just the overall roar of the forest. And you realize it's stronger than you are, it is more dignified than you'll ever be, it is more real and honest than you will ever be. It has a collective mind, and I'm not a spiritual person, but there is a thing happening there where everything is in harmony with everything else. It lives and dies on what the other thing does, and it's all fair because it's all real. And there you are intruding upon it. And we sat and listened, and I think we're all kind of collectively awed, and then the lights come back on again, and we're finding spiders, bugs, and all the other things. I came across these ants. I said, Diego, are those ants? They're called kunga ants. They're about 2 inches long. They look like a monster invented in some laboratory hell. When you put your light on them, they acknowledge you. They go, there's a light on. They stand up on their hind leg like, ah! Jeez, they'll run. I swear, look them up. They're real. And every time I put my light on some animal, they all acknowledge me. You put your light on the slug, and the thing on it goes like, I'm checking you out. Yes, I look like snot. I look like a collection of but I'm checking you out like you're checking me out. And it made me kind of awed at the idea that something is checking me out and it can't even read, it can't even argue, it doesn't even have a lawyer. And every day this would happen to me. And I'm not like, oh, animals are great. I think animals are great, and I don't try and make them cute because I want to give them more dignity. But I never knew they checked me out as much as I checked them out. And I kept learning this over and over the last couple of years. And so I stayed on this amazing river for quite a while. And then I went to Easter Island via Santiago, Chile, which is one of the greatest towns in the world. I hope you get to go a bunch of times. And on my days before Easter Island, I was walking on the streets of Santiago. My rule is I get to a hotel, I drop my gear, I get my backpack empty, put in a bottle of water, Cliff Bars in my camera, and I go. And I just walk and walk and walk. What are you going to see? Whatever's in front of me. Who are you going to meet? Whoever I meet. And I just go and roll the dice on humanity and see what happens. So I'm walking the streets of Santiago, and a lot of rock and rollers there. A lot of piercings, a lot of headphones on, a lot of rock and roll t-shirts, spotting Ramon shirts. Whenever I spot anyone in a Ramon shirt, I just go like, hey man, all right. And that's it. Just like, you and me, we got this. Ramones, we're cool. And sometimes it's kind of like, or they go, hey man, what album do you like? All of them. Anyway, I keep walking, and a girl walks by me, piercings, tattoos, and she looks at me, and I look at her, I'm like, okay, yeah, you have a lot of stuff going on. And I keep on walking, she's all, got the hair going, the jacket, the things, and she's like, all right, she's all punk rock. And I get about a block down the road, and I hear footsteps coming up to me, and she grabs my arm and spins me, and she's like, you're the guy from Black Flag. I'm like, I'll take it, yes. And I was like, what are you doing here? It would be kind of weird, because I would be the last person you would think I would be walking in your neighborhood. She's like, I never thought this would happen. Let's do a photo. I'm like, Okay, I bet you haven't found that thing in it. And she finds a guy in a restaurant, take a photo of us. The guy's like, I mean, okay. And now he hate. He takes the photo of us, and she's like, I want to show you something. She takes off her jacket. She starts hiking up her shirt. I'm like, no, I don't need to see that. That's fine. I'm not a Motley Crue, stop it. I want to show you my tattoo, and I don't know what it's going to be. And she pulls up the side, and she's got this tank, a tank, on the side of her body. And on the side of the tank is the black flag bars. And on the barrel of the tank it says, My War. I'm like, that's a third of your upper body. That's a torso tattoo. She's like, I always wanted to show this to you. I said, well, we did that. And so a lot of her territory is devoted to me or us or what was. And I said to her, I hope I never let you down. She goes, that'll never happen. I went, then, I have a long way to go yet. I will find some way to screw it all up. Anyway, I had days there, and then I went to Easter Island where the moai are, the big heads coming out of the dirt. I've always wanted to see those since I was a little kid. And I found out that not one single moai, the big heads, are naturally standing. They're all face down through tribal wars, tsunamis, wind. They've all fallen either on their back, like, you're reporting for duty, sir, or they fall on their face, which is even funnier, like, I'm fine, don't worry about me. They're face down in the dirt. And over the years, they've resurrected them, put them up, and put iron rods through them. Like the big Tongariki one with all of the 13 moai, all of that is a reconstruction. All of them were found several meters away, rolled back, and put up back in what they think is the order. Basically, it's kind of sort of all fake, but it's real. 6,000 or 7,000 locals live there with 80,000 visitors a year, flushing toilets and drinking water and throwing out trash. They have a severe pollution problem. They are hiding their garbage by burying it underground. Me, Deborah Downer, Mr. Killjoy, I was hell-bent on finding the garbage dumps. And I went out and I searched and I found one. I found the one that I saw in the SmithsonianMagazine.com article about it. Like, aha! Paper and plastic and metal. I took all my plastic bottles of water that I bought when I was there, and I took all the plastic back to the mainland because we Homo sapiens are destroying the world. We are destroying Ecuador, we're destroying the Andes Mountains, we are destroying Easter Island. We screw up anything that we touch. Here's a beautiful, sad story about something I saw that was so gorgeous, so sad, and so amazing. I hope all of you get to go, but don't leave any garbage. A while ago, I pitched an idea to History Channel, again, 10 things. Let's do something on the history of the Hoover Dam, an amazing public works project, nothing like it had ever happened in America before. And they said, for some reason, you do that. And they gave us the budget. And so we started researching it, which made us live in different parts of America at different parts where the Colorado River had destroyed towns as men had tried to tame it and steer it. And then we eventually found ourselves in Nevada, working either in Las Vegas or at the Hoover Dam, going back and forth, learning more about the Hoover Dam, its construction. We were allowed to go into places they'd never let camera crews in before because they liked us. There's a part of Nevada, it used to be Utah, now I think it's Nevada. A long time ago it was called St. Thomas. And some Mormon settlers went there many, many years ago, like, this is ours. It's hard scrabble desert, but no one will want it. It is ours. We can be free to religiousize as we please and do our thing. And then something was gerrymandered all of a sudden was not Utah anymore, and these people were faced with taxation. And so they left, but people came back. It was called St. Thomas. And about 500 people made the little town of St. Thomas. And in 1926, the Boulder Canyon Act came into existence, authorizing the start of construction on the Hoover Dam from 1931 to 1936. And eventually, the builders went to St. Thomas and they said, here's what's going to happen. St. Thomas is going to become the bottom of a thing called Lake Mead. Water's going to come. You all have to go. This is a man-made flood zone. We are going to do this. That's that. Leave. And people were like, but we built a school. We built an ice cream parlor. Yes, they did. And like, we're multi-generational. This is This is where our kids were born. You're going to make this into a lake? Oh, yes, we are. And by 1938, it was 60 feet high with water. The last man to leave, I believe his name was Hugh Lord. He was the one courageously man who said, hell no, I'm not leaving. He eventually left in a canoe off the roof of his house. He had to go. So the years go on, people breed prodigiously. 5 kids, 6 kids, 19 kids. Are you starting a football team? Are you starting an army? What are you, Genghis Khan? Why do you need all the kids? Because it's my right to breed. And every damn breeder has kids, and everyone wants to drink water. Everyone wants to be hydrated. And so there's more water needed to fuel the earth than ever before because we can't stop making more of us. Like, that's a good idea? And so, all of a sudden, Lake Mead starts dropping and dropping and dropping. And as the years go on, St. Thomas, that used to be a place where people scuba dived into the school, people would throw their fishing lines over the old schoolhouse because it was Lake Mead. The water is gone, and the desert has reclaimed St. Thomas. And the school is left, the stairs are left, and when you look at the sand underneath, it's like tumbleweeds, scorpions, rattlesnakes, and freshwater clams, because it used to be water, and then it wasn't. And the town is there, but the desert has taken it back. Mother Nature going, no, you silly men and women, you are Devo, you are de-evolutionary, we are reclaiming this. And to go there, we're in this like hot desert, hiking with camera gear with someone from the National Park Service. It's not close, we're hiking this little line of tired people humping camera gear to shoot in this thing. It's part of the national park. You can go for free. You just like check it out. I hope you do. But it's a wonderful lesson of the power of Mother Nature. And whatever humankind tries to control it, it's just such a disgusting thing that you and I, not you and I, when we have the audacity to think that we are mightier than that. And so here's something else, and then I promise I'll cheer up. I had a little bit of time right before I was able to come here and be with all you sexy people in here in New Jersey. In the top half of November, I had a moment of relative freedom. And so I called my travel agent in the weeks before, and I said, Rita, Antarctica, I'm interested and I want to know more. I've got this part of November. Is that a good time? She said, see what, you have no idea how good your timing is. It is an optimum time to go. I know the group, I know the crew, I know the boat, I got this. Let me book it. Don't say a word, I got this. I said, Rita, steer it. And so I just came back from Antarctica several days ago. And so I went to Buenos Aires, beautiful city, and went south to Ushuaia, the southernmost city in the entire world, the last city in the world. And then from there I got on the Sea Explorer, the ship full of scientists and other gentle eco-travelers. And we went through the Drake Passage, which is very violent and awesome, and everyone has that patch, the Dramamine patch. I didn't want it. I wanted to vomit. I wanted to hurl. And I couldn't get myself to do it. The boat's going wham, boom, bing, bam. I'm like, nope, don't feel like puking. I don't know. Too many years on a tour bus. Anyway, so it takes days and days of sailing where you see nothing but albatross that follow the boat and kind of ride in the jet stream that the boat makes, and clouds, and nothing, just sea. And then finally, iceberg, ice in the water, the birds are changing, the albatross are leaving, different kind of albatross. We are nearing the Arctic Peninsula. And it is an amazing thing. It is overwhelming. The air gets colder and colder. And finally, by day 3, the boat stops. And Hannah, the main scientist on the ship, she says, okay, look out the window. We are going to be taking the Zodiac boats, to that shoreline. Do you see those little things on the shore? Like, those are penguins. And we Americans are used to animals basically extinct. We are used to pigeons, cockroaches, and lawyers. Or we see a deer, oh my God, the deer, the fucking deer, oh my God, the deer! I said, ow, stop, and ow! We're not used to seeing 50 of anything unless it's like sports fans, you know? There's not 3 penguins, there's not 10 penguins, there's a world of penguins. And you get into the boat and you start going towards the penguin, you're like, that's penguins. Penguins have the most foul-smelling droppings, and they basically eat, stand, and drop. Belly flop in the droppings, roll around in the droppings, breed in the droppings, and then go into the water, wash themselves off, white and black, gorgeous, and go right back to befouling themselves in their own waste, which is putrescent, pungent, and everywhere. And so by the time you get to the end, you're, I'm high. I am high. I'm penguin guano. Penguins do not acknowledge any predator on land. In water, seals and orca can get to them, but on land, they think they're safe. So they regard you as kind of a big, poorly dressed version of themselves. And like I said, with all the bugs in the forest at night, you check them out, they check you out. Penguins think humans are interesting, and I don't want to assign human values to penguins, but they come up, stop, and look up at you. And they're like, huh, the hat doesn't match. Look down at your boot, peck the boot a couple of times, like, huh, not very tasty. They give you one last look and walk on. And you get evaluated by penguins. When they walk up, you just stop. Everyone stops, and the penguins walk through a line of you, inspecting as they go. And so I'm with all these wonderful nature people, and every time they see a penguin, it's like they saw a puppy. Oh my God, he fell over, he's so cute, the penguins are so cute. I never do that, because penguins are dignified, amazing creatures. They get a bad rap, because on land, oh boy, don't fall over. And when they go into the water, usually they slip and fall into the water. They have anxiety about the water, okay, there's the edge. Okay. And they'll fall in, and everyone claps. Oh, he fell on his butt. Really? He slipped and fell. Don't humiliate this graceful creature. Let's see, I'd like to put you on the edge and watch you slip and fall on your ass, break your coccyx as you fall into -10 water. Do it. As soon as those animals get into the water, they are these white and black Maseratis. They are amazing underwater, kicking your ass. And they come out of the water, they breathe. They're boogieing through the water. They come out, grab a gulp of air, and go in without even breaking through the meniscus of the water. They're gorgeous in the water. And on land, they're ungainly because they're water creatures that breed and sleep on land. They do their fishing and their washing in the water. And when they're in the water, they're just one of the greatest things I've ever seen. So they kind of get, oh, they're cute. They're not cute. They're survivors. They're amazing animals. And so I started learning more and more about these ecosystems. And thankfully, the people on the ship, they're a bunch of scientists. They give lectures all day. When you're not out on the boat or doing something nature-y, you're taking courses. And I'm down there with my notebook open, writing down stuff. And I predated upon a guy named Bob, the geologist. I said, Bob, you're the ice guy, the rock guy, the tectonic plate guy. He went, I am. I said, did you read that article that went viral on the internet, how NASA had seen a growth of sea ice and all the climate change deniers? I said, aha, see, you commie socialists, the earth is getting colder. I hate you. Go back to Kenya with your president. And he said, yes, I did read that. I said, I read it too, and a lot of it went over my head, so I know it's very complex. The people who said the article was full of crap obviously didn't read it, because if they did, they would have known that it's a complex topic. I said, why is there more sea ice if the world is in fact getting warmer? You're a scientist. Is it getting warmer? And he said, I'm a scientist. This is all I do. Yes, Caroline, the world is getting warmer. And here is why there's more sea ice. And to be succinct, myriad factors contribute to the increase in sea ice. However, water around the Arctic Peninsula is increasing in temperature. It has been for decades. Due to the hole in the ozone layer, and the acidification of the water, the ability for the water to absorb CO2 and using phytoplankton to use its photosynthesis, making for half of the photosynthesis in the world to turn the CO2 back into oxygen, the entire ecosystem of the world is breaking down, and the engine of all the water currents and weather currents of the world are generated at the bottom of the world. And so why it rains in India during monsoon season, giving the wonderful people of India rice, that comes from the bottom of the world. And so he's trying to explain all this stuff to me. He said, okay, there's warmer water at the top of the ocean, has less saline in it. It is pushing down the denser water, and it's making the top water easier to freeze. Parts of that have never been this cold before, the cold is going this way because the warm is going that way, and other factors can't really explain yet, is all making glacier ice is melting, sea ice is expanding, but the Earth is getting warmer. The only thing that you might not understand is what any scientist has ever told you, it's 20 times worse. I said, really, are we screwed? He said, we are done. Done. So I said, Homo sapiens sucks. He said, we are the worst. Which again, I see now I've got a scientist on stage with me telling me this stuff. So I said, what do we do? He said, just, you gotta be as cool as you can. I mean, you just gotta be as gentle to the planet as you can, and you might retard what's already going on. And then he explained all of this in another lecture. I know this is getting sciencey, and I'm not a scientist, so I'll get off of this in about at least 30 seconds. But this, you might wanna know about this. He said, here's the big damn deal. We get the ice. The ice is what is the phytoplankton like to attach themselves to. You lose the ice in cold temperatures, the phytoplankton no longer are created. And when you don't get the phytoplankton, you don't get the photosynthesis. When you don't get the phytoplankton, the krill have nothing to feed on. The krill is the main food source of the penguins, the seals, and the whales. Basically, every damn thing in the Antarctic depends on krill, which depends on the phytoplankton. You and I depend on the phytoplankton and the krill and everything else. It's all interconnected. So I said, what's making the phytoplankton go? He said, warm water, global warming. Less phytoplankton, less krill, less food for the seals and the whales and the penguins. And then the sea ice melts, the glacier ice melts, and by the end of the century, 60 more feet of water everywhere. So I said, so New Orleans, he said, done. Miami, done, which might not be the worst thing. Here's a kind of a cynical, awful, poisonous thought, but we're all adults, we can have a laugh. I always wanted Floridians to wake up one morning and see that the Army Corps of Engineers, under my directive, have dug an emergency trench and dug a moat between America and Florida, and they're going to separate it by a 75-mile gulf of water, overnight. Hey man, how'd that happen? Damn, we're no longer part of America. Hey, screw you, learn to read! And maybe if they're better to the elderly and better to minimum wage workers, better to homosexuals, better to women, better to people of different ethnicities, maybe when I become king, I'll put down a drawbridge and let them come over now and then. But until then, sorry, you're on your own, but you're an exceptional one, right? Bootstraps and all that crap, you'll figure it out. Or maybe you won't. I did this show for History Channel, the 10 Things thing. No, I haven't. I'm not ignoring Antarctica. I wanted to tell you this. At one point, I'm with a historian of Texas. He's kind of an intense guy. And he told me, for the benefit of our camera for the show, that at one point, well, forever, in 1845, when Texas annexed itself to the United States, they had a bunch of rules that America signed off on. One of them was, we can form 4 more states inside Texas, which would do a topsy-turvy turn to the electorate, what is it? Exactly, thank you. And I think Nate Silver even wrote a really interesting thing about the Electoral College when Texas chose to do this, but still, looks they can still do it. For the sake of History Channel, we are allowed to look at the handwritten book page that mandates that. They've never done it. And so me and this historian, we both got a turn with a blank outline of the state of Texas of how we would divide it into 5 parts. So he went first. And he went with diagonal lines going down the entire state. I said, interesting, sir. Why'd you do that? He's a nice guy. I said, so everyone gets some beachfront property. Every state in Texas gets a little beachfront. And I was like, wow, that's cool. I already had mine ready. So he said, Henry, are you ready? I said, yeah. They take the grease pencil off. I get my grease pencil, and I go, can I make a series of little circles? I go, okay, give me 5 big cities in Texas. The guy went, okay, Austin. And then I went, Dallas, Houston, and a few others. He said, so what are we looking at? I said, here's what we're looking at. That little circle, that'll be Houston, its own state. That circle, that's gonna be a wall we're gonna build around it. That's Dallas with a big wall, 40, 50 feet high, 100 feet high, yeah. And so the rest of the state is Austin. Because I love Austin. It's such a fun place. Everyone's in a band, the food's really good. They have all kinds of good record stores, and everyone's really friendly and artistic. We'll be the nice Texans, and we'll feed you belligerent, racist, gun-loving bastards. We'll throw food over the wall, like the Berlin airlift. We'll heave microwavable food over. And if you're really good, we might let one of your delegates out every once in a while. But if you try and tunnel out, we will be watching, and we will make you wear your underwear outside your suit for 100 days if we catch you in another part of Texas. And you will need a passport to go to Austin. I see the producer behind the camera like, well, here's a scene we can't use. And this guy's trying to be really polite to me. He's like, okay, Henry, right, I see what you've done there in circles there, okay. So you don't let else that much. Wall, Berlin airlift, Marshall Plan, okay, got it. All right, well, thanks for coming by. He says, done. And I forget if we used that part or not, but I thought it was funny. I thought it was fantastic. Him not so much. Anyway, Antarctica. I was there for 2 weeks, and I met many Adelie penguins, Gentoo penguins, and a few chinstrap penguins, and I learned something really amazing. The animals will never lie. I ran into a lot of Gentoo penguins. Gentoo, they're different. You see them once, you'll always know the differences. We ran into a lot of Gentoo penguins, and I asked one of the people there, I said, okay, the Gentoo penguins, why are there so many here? He said, those are cold weather, those are warm weather penguins. Usually this is Adelie territory, they're cold weather penguins. They've had to move more south to colder weather, because this weather's no longer colder. I said, so the penguins prove global climate change. And the guy said, exactly. I said, I don't need to believe science. Like you, I can believe the penguins. Where the Adelie were, Gentoo are now, so the Adelie had to boogie to colder weather. He said, precisely. I go, that's all the proof I need. He said, actually, that's all the proof any of us need. We saw the penguins, and we knew. And so I spent 2 weeks in this amazing environment, getting scientific fact after scientific fact. I wrote it all down, forgot most of it, but I'm going to be doing my research. And as soon as I got back to America, I immediately started missing Antarctica horribly. I think about it every day, I dream about it, and I cannot wait to go back. And if you ever want to see things in front of you that will completely blow your mind, you might want to think of that as a destination to go before you die. Knowing that there's all kinds of great explorers like Shackleton and Cook and people like that who Ross, and they went down there and said, aha, it's here, which led to the damn near annihilation of seals and whales. I wanted to have my own Antarctic first. And so we were given the opportunity to camp at Nico Harbor. You can live in a tent, or you can be real tough and live with no tent for a night. I said, I want no tent. I want my face to be kissed by the Antarctic cold. They said, you can do that. So they gave me a sleeping bag and a waterproof mattress. I dug a hole to cut down on the wind, and I settled in for the non-night night, because the sun doesn't really set. To my left were breeding Gentoo penguins who bray and screw and crap all night. So from your left side, oh, I'm so awake now. It's just like, it's getting like kicked in the head. So I decided I must have my own Antarctic first. And so I took out of my backpack my little iPod, I plugged in my headphones and the wire was about to break, it was so cold, and I listened to the Raw Power album by the Stooges in its entirety. And that happened in Antarctica. I got back to the warm boat with internet the next day, and I wrote Iggy Pop's manager. I said, dear manager, here's what happened in Antarctica 7 hours ago. Raw Power was played in its entirety by me. If you think that is worthy to send a message to the heavyweight champion of rock and roll, Iggy Pop, you do that. And Henry McGrogan, the manager, wrote me back. He said, I'll let him know. And so I wait to hear what the big man has to say. I confessed this brief tale to the members of Dinosaur Jr. the other night, live in front of hundreds of people. I'll confess the same thing to you. It'll only take a second. Many years ago, it took a few years, but I finally got to Iran. And I spent some time in Iran, and I had a wonderful time with wonderful people who were very, very friendly to me. And I'd stagger around downtown Tehran in the evening after I'd shook off my government tour spy. He would leave me alone around 1 in the afternoon. His name was Reza, and he had awful breath. And so we'd go back to the hotel for lunch. And he said, so Mr. Henry, I'll pick you up and we'll go for more sightseeing. I'm like, Reza, I'm jet lagging. and I'm going to go back to my room, cry, masturbate, and take a nap. Unfortunately, all of that was true. And that combination was so terrifying. He's like, oh, Mr. Higgins, I'll find you tomorrow. And he'd leave. And so by around 13, is that too much? I'm sorry. Rollins. Anyway, so I found myself alone for the rest of the afternoon. I'd go back down to the lobby, make sure he had left, I wasn't being followed. Because a single American without a tour group going alone, they really wonder what you're doing there. And I'd walk around on the streets of Tehran and just meeting people, not women, you don't walk up to women, but you see the guy at the newspaper saying, like, oh, hey man, I'm Henry, what's happening? Like, my friend, where are you from? America. Well, who are you here with? I'm here alone. They're like, why are you here? I said, why am I here? I'm here to meet you, man, what's happening? And it breaks the ice, the shoulders drop, and the smile comes up, and you've made a new pal halfway around the world. A place that John McCain wanted to bomb into extinction, they were nice to me. And so I wandered into one convenience store where all the men are hanging around kvetching, they're just standing there, and I walk in and everyone goes silent, because they're like, who's the weird white guy in the winter's jacket? And I look at them, and they're like, and they go back to talking, but they got their eye on me. And I noticed there's 3 bins, and I don't know what you call them, but it's a handle with a bunch of copper chains. You can flagellate yourself. I call them a whapper. You can whap yourself. They had 3 different sizes for, I guess, 3 different intensities of religiosity. Like if you're a lightweight, you get the cheap one, whap, whap. But if you really want to atone, if you really suck, if your DNA wants to have sex with someone who's not a relative or whatever, you get the big whapper and you whack the daylights out of yourself. And I got this winter's coat on so I can whap myself as hard as I want. I give each one of them a road test. And I'm standing like, whap, whap, and they're like looking at me like, what are you doing? I said, like, am I doing it right? Am I whapping myself right? And I'm waiting for one of them to start laughing. And at first, like, they're concerned for me. They're like, sir, you're whapping yourself very hard. Then I picked up the middle one. I go, so this is like the intermediate, right? You've whapped yourself for a few summers. It's cool, but now you want to like graduate up. You're not ready for the big one, but you're ready for this one, right? You've thrown a lot of newspapers. You saved up your money, and you're buying like size 2 whapper, and I'm whapping myself, and they finally come over, and I got the big one. I'm like, holy shit, man, there's a lot of whapping to do. I'm like, whap! I go, wow, the air's coming out of me. And finally, one guy started laughing, and then they all started laughing. And they said, what are you doing here? I said, I'm here to meet you, man, my name's Henry. And they all spoke English, and we had a fantastic conversation. And I had conversations like this without the whapping all over Tehran by just walking up to groups of men and just going, hey man, I'm Henry, what's happening? And I asked them, I go, this is during the days of Bush. I said, what do you think of my president? He said, we're scared to death. I go, why are you scared? He's like, he wants to kill all of us. I'm like, well, yeah, he does. And they said, can you talk to him? I'm like, yeah, well, all of us, we have a direct line. Hey! He said, can you tell him that we're peaceful people and all we want to do is raise our children and no war. The Iraqis killed most of us. We don't want any war. And I said, I'll let him know, which of course I didn't. And so, why was I telling you about this? Oh yes, because when I was there, I met this young guy. He's a friend of a woman I know in America who's an Iranian. She turned me on to this family, and I met the son. Young guy, he can drive. And I'm at their house one night for dinner, and he said, hey man, you want to drive around with me and like see what young people do in Tehran? I'm like, absolutely. So we go driving around, and we go to like food courts, and kids sit around like super bored. Like kids, in middle America, they sit around and are beautiful and just kind of wait for they're just waiting on nothing really. So I said, where's the music? Well, we have a music scene, but it's so far underground, you need a shovel to get to it, because, it's not that cool. I said, could you use some music? And he said, we could use anything we can get. I said, okay, I've got an idea. And so I said, what if someone was able to get a 1 terabyte hard drive of MP3s into Tehran to you? Would you be able to spread it around to all of your friends and have everything from P-Funk to Jane's Addiction to Miles Davis go viral all over Tehran? And he went, I could do that. You could get the hard drive? I said, I'll try. So he shook on it, I got back to America, I bought a 1 terabyte hard drive, and I called up my engineer buddy who does all my radio shows. I said, you and I are gonna fill a freaking terabyte full of MP3s, and we're gonna get it to Tehran. He's like, cool! He's young, I'm old, we have wildly divergent tastes in music, but we agree on all the big stuff. Sabbath, Coltrane, whatever, but otherwise, it's 2 different record collections. I take every song that a person should ever hear, like, there it is, there's the A to Z to music. 8 gigabytes. I mean, like, you're like, it took us months to fill this thing. It was like this thing that was never full. We're up to 38 gigabytes, and boy, am I tired. And so finally we filled this thing. It was like 140,000 songs. It went via New York to Tehran, and it's still in operation today, disseminating the P-Funk, the George Clinton, the Bootsy, the James Addiction, the Fugazi, the Bad Brains, the Black Flag, the Ramones, the Sex Pistols, the Clash, the Damned, on and on and on and on, as it should. So when the revolution comes, I hope that some young, gorgeous Iranian guy who's the next president holds up the hard drive, the lacy hard drive, and goes like, yes! We won! With the Rocket to Russia album by the Ramones! No blood, no guns, no bullets! Rock and roll! And so I had to confess to Dinosaur Jr. that I had given away a lot of their music to a bunch of Iranian people. They're never going to get so much as a cent! And you know Jay Mascis, he's very loud, very boisterous, and he said, cool. So I had to apologize to him, and a while later, I was in Sri Lanka, in the mountainous region of central Sri Lanka, in Kandy. It's Kandy with a K. It's where they grow tea. And I'm staying with a family that a diplomat I knew in Saudi Arabia turned me on to. A guy named Ananda welcomed me into his home. His wife cooked and fed me, and they've got this teenage son. He recognizes me. He's like, wait a minute, you're the guy in the band. Oh, damn, I don't know your name, but I remember the video where you're red and screaming. That's me. That's me. So I said, are you into music? He said, yeah, every day. I go, you got any record stores around? He went, yeah, right, we're in the mountains with tea leaves. There's no record stores. I said, so how do you get your music? He's like, well, I go, you steal music? He's like, well, it's not stealing. It's just, we get anything we can because we're desperate. I said, okay, what's your favorite kind of music? Death metal. He's all like, in my face about it, like, okay, are there any Sri Lankan death metal bands? He's like, yeah. I go, do you have any of that? He's like, yeah. I said, well, take me to your room. Let us rock. And we spent the afternoon checking out Sri Lankan death metal. It's like, but it's Sri Lankan. So then I said, young man, have you ever heard of this band, this band, this band? I just started naming all these bands. And he said, I've heard of them, but I've never heard them because we can't get that music. I said, okay. I always carry a 1 terabyte hard drive with me. I'm Johnny Appleseed with lines in my face. Let me give you music. And he went, okay. And so I drag and drop tons of music, illegal, onto his desktop, disconnect, and leave. And me and Ananda, we drive around the city for a while. We come back for dinner, and like it's time for the kid to come to the table. And I hear the Misfits in this kid's room. Booming. I'm like, damn, he discovered the Misfits. Kid comes to the table, sitting to my left, with this huge grin on his face. No words come out of his mouth. He's like, huge gratitude grin. He's looking at me like he's crazy. He's been listening to music since we left. And I went, are we okay? And barely above a whisper, he said, the Stooges. I went, you played the Funhouse download, didn't you? And he went, thank you. Like I had given him the one mineral he'd been missing. Tunk, my heart now beats. And Ananda said, what did you give my son? I said, oh, it's a thing, it's a force of nature, it's a thing called the Stooges. And he said, yes, Dad, the Stooges. That's when I realized the kid's like 15. That kid's gonna hit 18, high on the Stooges. He's gonna take Ananda out to the backyard and beat his ass. Come on, I got it right now. And so I had to tell Iggy one day, hey, Iggy, I gave away the Funhouse record in the high mountains of central Sri Lanka. Is that cool? And he looked at me and went, oh, man. That's really cool, man. Thank you so much for doing that. So I said, you're not mad? Oh, no, not at all. And so then I told him this story. I said, then you won't be mad at me for doing this. Several months ago, I get a letter from a kid who became my hero. 17 years old, he lives in a state, what's it called, Utah? He's living in Utah. He said, "Dear Henry, I'm gay, I'm 17, I live in Utah. My parents want to send me to conversion camp." And I wrote him back, I said, "Man, there's nothing wrong with you. You are fine the way you are." He goes, "I know, it's cool, but I'm not going to go to the camp. My parents know I'm gay. I'm going to wait till I'm 18. I'm going to get out of here. I need music. We have no music at the school library. I have a laptop. My parents don't know I have this. I have no access to music because I can't get a credit card account to get iTunes or anything. Can you help me?" Someone once told me there's a band called Black Sabbath. Someone said they're really good. This was last year. He's asking me about some band called Black Sabbath. And I said, "Boy, did you write the right guy." Because I have a YouSendIt account, and I'm going to just pummel you with 2 gigabytes at a time. You are gonna survive Utah with rock and roll. And so I sent him Black Sabbath. I sent him this and this. I sent that kid so much music, and he would go dark for weeks at a time. I'm thinking, I'm going to get sued. I've sent a young person over a state line music. I'm now a pedophile. I've done something perverted. And I'm thinking of all the music. Oh, there was an F-bomb on that song, an S-bomb on that song. Oh, now I'm going to the clink. I'm a child toucher. But I've never even seen this guy. I'm just like, "But you're wrong. I just sent him the first 3 Jane's Addiction records. Get off!" And hopefully he did get off. And then he would come out of nowhere. "Haven't been able to email you. Had to hide the laptop on a tree." I mean, the kids, he's like, "I've been hearing about this writer named Henry Miller. Should I read him?" I'm like, "Get a P.O. box. I will send you any book you want." He's like, "I can't get a P.O. box. I can't get anything. They'll find out." I said, "Can I kidnap you? I have a bedroom that I don't use. There's a couch in it. And look, I have books. I have records. There's boys in LA. You can meet them. You can have fun. You gotta get out of there, man." He said, I'll turn 18 one day. And I haven't heard from him for a while. And I had to tell Iggy, "I gave a homosexual 17-year-old American boy incarcerated between the borders of Utah and whatever states surround Utah, I gave him your music for free." "Oh man, thank you so much for doing that. I'm so glad that you picked Stooges music to do that, because, it is about freedom, isn't it? I mean, it is rock and roll, right? Yeah. And so I did that. Because, like I said 3 hours ago, when you could still feel your ass and your feet weren't tingling because they're dead now, is that when you connect with the music, you realize that everyone and everything is going to be okay. And that's how the only reason I think we might get through this century is because we can agree on the Sticky Fingers album by the Rolling Stones. We don't have to unholster our guns and let it go to a Second Amendment remedy. And I'm always looking for the humanitarian, cool line through any tough situation. I'm trying to understand the science behind what we do and how we got here, as I've been explaining to you ad infinitum all through this evening. That's why I study weather systems, systems of different economies, systems of how animals live and die. And I go to all these places, and it takes a hell of a lot of effort to get to these places. But I'm doing this so I can be belligerent and forward with any of my opinions, so they're vitamin packed and they have muscle. So when I come down hard on an issue, I've been there, I've done that, I'm informed, and so when I can say I'm angry, it's not directionless, it's so laser targeted I can't stand myself. I wake up every single morning, I'm awake! I have no idea what contentment is. Every once in a while I have the transitory exhalation, putting on a good record on my stair, like, that's really nice, but I'm sitting on the couch. I'm dying. I'm gonna play 2 more songs, and I gotta get in the car and drive in circles for a while, because every damn thing in the world is moving too slow. And that's why I'd rather be with you in rooms like this anywhere in the world than in my nice home that holds one man very, very comfortably. As I get older, I'm becoming angrier, more curious, and just more urgently wanting to never sleep and just do every single damn thing. So the next time you and I get together, I'll be even more pissed, more curious, and my face will be falling. It's a bitch getting older in some ways, because like I said hours ago, everything comes back to visit you. I now go to see my doctor like every several months. If I have to go to Asia, if I get signed onto a film, you gotta go get checked out to make sure you don't have a heart attack. I've had one doctor for the last 850 years. He's a Borscht Belt comedian by the name of Dr. Gold, and he resides at Cedars-Sinai. He's half doctor, half stand-up comedian. He talks in one word every fiscal quarter. Hey, sit down. Perpetually tan, good-looking guy, 900 years old. How have you been? Fine. I'll be the judge of that. Blurred vision? No. Double vision? No. Dry mouth? No. Convulsions? No. Vomiting? No. Dizzying? No. Pass out? No. No memory of where you've been the day before? No. Good. That was me last weekend. Let me feel your pulse. And he goes through this whole thing. It's the same joke every time. Leave a card with the receptionist if you want to talk about the penis reduction surgery we talked about the last 80 times you came to see me. Hey, you're funny! And right towards the end of the appointment, I start moving towards the door. Moving. He's not even going to know I'm gone. I'm almost to the receptionist, which is his wife. She's the same way. Thanks for coming in. Moving. He doesn't even turn around. Where the hell do you think you're going? I'm like, I'm just gonna go get a copy of Highlight magazine, see what Goofus is up to on the back page. Get back here, drop your pants, grab some table. And that's one of the things about becoming a man. There's people put things in you. And so I always try and have a level of comfort when an adult man is going to put his finger up me. I want to just say, that's cool, I can handle that. I mean, you're a doctor, I'm a patient, I have a rectum, I'm not used to incoming. It's just been him my whole life. And so I dropped the trowel, and the last time I saw him, I had actually rehearsed a line, because he, whoop, whoop. And I always think about his right index finger and how many miles of rectum that has gone in and out of over the years, and how many famous men he has infiltrated. It could be up Michael Bolton, it could be up Gene Simmons. I mean, oh, the stories that index finger could tell. I mean, there's a book. The doctor, the finger, the stories, the legend, the glory. And I always, upon him pulling out, I always want to say, hey, something funny right back at you. And on the way to see him the last time, I actually rehearsed a line. I got it. So I knew I'd be grabbing some table. And so I went back to him, and wiggle, 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 and he pulls out. It takes a few seconds. And so I look over my shoulder, and I said, I was ready. I said, what? Wait for it. No goodnight kiss? And no doubt, the doctor has heard men trying to repair their humiliation because they've been, gone up with a finger, a doctorly finger, but not really used to that all the time. And so he's heard everything, and he has an answer for everything. So I said, what? No goodnight kiss? Waiting for him to go, oh, you master, you. Without dropping so much as a beat, he went, no. The next time I'll take you to a movie. I was like, oh, damn, I gotta get a better writer. And I hitched up my britches, and I walked all squishy back out. And you have real KY between your cheeks. I take an extra lap around the parking garage, big admission. It feels kind of good. You're like, And so here's another LA story. I don't think I've ever told this. I don't make friends very easily. My affection for you is unconditional. My fear of you eclipses my affection. I don't fear you killing me. I fear failing you. I fear if I do a bad show, I should lop off a finger, go there, eBay it. Just take it. I'm bad. You're good. Anyway, I don't know many people. My phone doesn't ring on the weekends except for every Sunday when I'm home. Ian Mackay calls, and the two greyheads get together for a while. Otherwise, I 9 to 5 business, and then I live alone, and I don't hang out, I don't go to parties, I feel nervous and insecure, I don't hate people, I just don't understand them all that well. I'd rather stand in front of them and orate than be amongst them. And dates, it's like dating a dog. Ladies, I'd sit across from you and just stare. You want to ask me something? Nope. Do you want to know anything about me? No. Oh. What are you going to eat? I'm just weird. I'd rather be the records. Or just doing this. So anyway, I suck. And I don't make friends very easily. So I have like Heidi, been bossing me around the office for 19 years. People see it, all we do is argue, we walk around and say, shut up, you didn't fucking pay it! And people think we're married. They're like, oh my God, how long have you two been married? Which always makes me go, no, please don't! You'd be lucky! Anyway, so I know Heidi, and I know Ian, and I have this odd friendship with William Shatner. For like 13 years, I've been going to the Shatner's residence for Monday Night Football, or Thanksgiving dinner, or the Super Bowl for over a decade. He lives down the street from me. We did a record many years ago, and we became friends. He's one of my favorite humans. He's in his mid-80s. He has the energy of a 19-year-old. He's like, bing, bing, bing. Like, what's he on? Life. He's just... And I always get there early before the gang shows up for Monday Night Football, because it's a game I don't understand. So I just want to have a minute to check in with him, because he kind of reminds me of me. I walk in, Henry, hello, how are you? I said, I'm fine. I just came off doing a bunch of talking shows. Talking shows, wow. Hey, Liz, honey, this is his wife. Liz, Henry's been doing talking shows. You just get on stage and talk, wow. Henry, I have a one-man show I've been using your name every night. Wow, people love it. It's great. So, how are you? I'm like, I'm fine. What are you up to? Well, I just finished my next book tomorrow. I'm leaving to Las Vegas to do this lecture, and then I'm going to Indiana. Then I'm going to Vietnam for 3 months to do a thing on bats. Then I'm going to swing from a vine and come back here. And you need to eat? And you're like, damn, do you ever stop? No. And so I know him, and then one of the only people I kind of sort of know is RuPaul. Which is... We met many years ago at band practice. I walked in before the band in New York, and there's this tall, handsome, bald man standing in the rehearsal green room. And I'm like, morning, sir. And I sit down, and he walks over, Henry Rollins. I said, yep. He goes, I'm RuPaul. I'm like, you are! Because without the wig and all the stuff on, you recognize the cheekbones and the eyes. Like, you are RuPaul. I go, damn, man. I instinctively like you. You're a very good person. And he's wonderful. He's smart. He's hilarious. And he's been through quite a bit. So the band comes in. I go, fellas, RuPaul. And the whole band goes like, I've always liked you. You're so cool. And we became pals. And that was 20-some years ago. And every once in a while, RuPaul calls me. Hey, I've got this new project. I'm doing a show where I drive people around in my car, and I take them on their errands, and we film it. Camera on you, camera on me, come and pick you up, and we'll do errands. I'm like, yeah. I hang up the phone, and he goes, you better bring him into the office or I'll kill you. And so RuPaul comes in, and Heidi's like, oh my God, I love you! Everyone loves RuPaul. So we get in the car, and we drive around, and we do my errands, and we walk into places. I pick up a punk rock poster that got framed, and I go, this is my friend RuPaul. He's driving me around, and everyone goes, oh my God, you're so great! And so he takes me for free lunch, and I'll eat free lunch from a dead guy. Free food is my pal. And this happened just a few months ago. We parked in West Hollywood, West LA, where all the rainbow flags fly, under some parking structure, and we come out to eat in some Japanese restaurant. This was one of the most hilarious days of my stunted life. We walk out together as a couple, I guess, crossing Santa Monica Boulevard. Gay people see us, recognize both of us. They're like, and I realized, oh no, I now date RuPaul. So saith the internet. And as we're walking across the I go, RuPaul, look at that guy, that guy, that guy, that guy, that guy. We're a couple. And I think he said something like honey, don't make promises your ass can't keep. Something. Anyway, I'm a weird person. And I'm almost done with you. I swear to God, I'll tell you one more thingette, or maybe a couple of more thingettes, and then I probably, almost assuredly will be done with you. So like I said, I go as far and as wide as I can to try and turn my mind around the idea that Homo sapiens has turned the world into a violent cesspool of aggression, hatred, stupidity, and half-knowledge. I cannot see anything that knocks me off that story. However, I keep meeting really amazing people in the world. So like I said, I'm done with us, but you and me, I am more interested in every breath that I take, because all over the world, in the 90 countries I've been to, I keep meeting fantastic, generous people. Some of them live an entire life with food and water insecurity. Parts of Mali, parts of Senegal, parts of Madagascar I've been to. People live their whole life wondering if there's another bowl of rice tomorrow. Parts of Haiti and Cuba I've been to have been really, really hard to hang out with, but the people have made it possible. And so a while ago, I went to Cuba because I was just so insanely curious. And so I was going to sneak in the way cool Americans used to, either through Mexico City or through Toronto or Madrid. And my travel agent said, oh no, you're cool, triple layer chess-playing Kenyan trickster president. She's kidding. The amazing Mr. Obama has made it legal for you to go to Cuba. You don't have to sneak in. I'm like, thanks, Mr. President. I'm like the one guy in America who still thinks he's a really good guy. I know I'm the last guy standing, but I think the dude's awesome. And if I had to put up with a teaspoon of the shit that guy's had to put up with, I would have lost my cool a long time ago. Anyway, so I got to go to Cuba legally. I didn't want to be sneaky anyway. I'm not good at it. So I go there, and I'm thrown into a van with a bunch of other travelers. Thankfully, they're all from Chicago, so they're funny and corrupt. And we had a wonderful time. And we're bouncing all over Havana and the surrounding areas, meeting lovely people, eating amazing food, and every single night hearing music that just blows your mind. And I figured out something about that some of the rhythms. You hear fast and slow rhythms in some island rhythm, some calypso rhythm. I figured it out. You hear, but then you hear waltz time as well. And I figured it out. You know why it's that way? Here's my theory. So if you're young and you want to dance fast, you can do that. If you want to dance slow, you can do that. And everyone can dance to one song and do exactly what they want. And that is the genius of a lot of calypso and island rhythms. It shuffles and it swings. And you can dance fast, slow, close, far apart, show off, dance and tell your honey that you love her or him or whatever, and everyone gets to do their thing. It's the most welcoming music besides like blues. Anyway, that's what I took from that. So one day we're in the middle of the countryside of Cuba. I forget where we were. And we are there to go to a place where one day Brother Fidel had dinner and touched a tree. And apparently Mr. Castro invented geometry, water, weather systems, soil, agriculture, and he's the bestest guy in the world, so saith the tour guide propagandist. And so at 10 o'clock, the van's gonna leave to go to the farm at 1 p.m. to see where Fidel touched the tree. I get to the lobby of the hotel at 10:04. The van has left without me. In a panic, because I don't like being late, I run into the lobby and go, did you see the van with all those people in it? Like, they left a few minutes ago. I'm like, help! He said, okay, not a problem. I said, do you have a taxi? He's like, really? You're funny. We don't have a taxi, but we do have public buses that come every 30 minutes. The next one's gonna come here. I'm gonna put you on that bus and tell the driver to take you to the farm where Fidel touched the tree. You'll get there early and you'll just wait. I said, that's an idea. Half an hour later, the little commuter bus pulls up. The guy goes onto the bus, explains, this poor tourist lost his way. Take him to the place where Fidel touched the tree, let him off. So it's a couple of pesos. You get on the bus, and there's no one on the bus but me and the driver. It's a short bus. He's driving on my left, your right. I'm in the front seat on the bench on his right side, your left. And we're driving. We say nothing. Beautiful countryside. And at one point, the guy looks over at me and goes like, hello! I went, hello! And he sticks out his hand, and I shake his hand. And he goes, drive for a while. Me! Cuba. I said, me, America. Shake hands on that. Baseball. I went, home run. Cuba, good country. I said, yes. Shake hands on that. We're like toasting with handshakes. And then he said something really beautiful and really sad. He said, you. I went, yeah, me, no. I went, yeah, for now. Baseball, back to shaking hands again. America, good. I went, yeah, sometimes, yes, yeah. And Cuba, good. And now I'm getting all teary. I'm like, yeah, man, we can do this. We shook hands like 10 damn times. Finally, we get to these two dirt roads bisect, and there's a big picture of Fidel touching the tree with an arrow. The farm is that way. So I said, okay, man, I'll get off and I'll hike to the farm. He said, no, sit. He makes a right, going away from his bus route, and takes me down this winding, skinny road to the farm where Fidel touched the tree, where I'm meeting my compatriots in 3 hours. And so the people who run the tourist thing come up to the bus like, there's no one on our at 10:30 in the morning. What are you doing? And he explains, this guy, he's the 1 o'clock group. He left lost. And I get off the bus and I said, thank you. Baseball. He goes, baseball. And then I said, sorry, because he has to turn a bus on a road this wide. He goes, no problem. I said, really? It looks like a big freaking problem to me. I've never seen a bus make so many three-pointers. Finally gets the thing turned around, and he leaves. And then the woman who runs the place, she goes like, come. And she gives me some shade and a chair, and I got my biography on Lincoln. I've got my bottle of water. I'm set. I'll just, hang out and wait. And she goes, coffee? I'm like, every day. And she walks away, and she returns with this cup of coffee that smells like manure. Basically, it's the good stuff. You're like, oh, yeah. And there's an oil slick on top that looks like a third eye. You're like, oh, yeah, this is going to work. I think this might be the best cup of coffee I've ever had. And within a minute, I'm like, it's all gone. She goes, more? I'm like, let's see, yes. She comes back with another cup of oily, rich, dark coffee and a plate of caramel, homemade caramel. She goes, caramel? I'm like, see? So let's see. Hot weather, jet lag, dehydration, monosaccharides, and caffeine. What possibly could go wrong? Or go right? I am now 3 cups of coffee and 2 plates of caramel into the morning. I am now ass sweating off the seat. I'm now up in the air, taking laps around the property, vision questing. I am the eagle of destiny. My eyes are sweating. Caffeine, monosaccharides, simple sugars breaking down into the system. Dun, dun, dun. Within a few hours, the tour bus shows up. The 1 o'clock, my people show up. I descend from the sky and land in front of the bus. I'm here. They're like, how'd you get here? Never mind. I had a mystical journey with a man. We talked about baseball and the future. We shook hands. Everything's going to be okay between America and Cuba. Me and the driver of the magic bus have deemed it so. Come, I'll take you to the tree that Brother Fidel touched. I've gnawed away all the bark to demarcate it. Come with me. And one person said, coffee much? You have no idea. And it was one of the most impactful moments I've ever had with a human in my life. Me and some guy on a country road in Cuba working out the problems of the world by just shaking hands a few times with 2 broken languages. Baseball, yeah, shake hands, we can get along. If I can get along with some guy in a bus in Cuba, you can get along with any blowhard anywhere in the world. And the problem is the solutions stand right in front of all of us, but apparently we are not interested. But the reason the world keeps on turning is because you and I are interested. You and I do great things. You and I dig science. We don't fall for the pitfalls of bigotry and that which divides us. We favor the things that bring us together. Not like we have to live together in a frickin' footlocker. But now and then, we get together and voulez-vous. And that is the only reason why there's not 10 wars a minute, is because there's enough sane people in the world being not part of the problem. And I bet that is going to be the story of you and me. Thank you for enduring me. I'll see you down the road. Good night.